This week on the Jock and Nerd podcast, we are geeking out about the Marvel Cinematic Universe on the big screen and the small screen as we review Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings and episode 4 of What If on Disney Plus.
Geek Boner.
All in this edition of the Jock and Nerd Weekly for Monday, September 6th, 2021.
You know who this is, and you know why you're here. You want all the latest comic book and superhero TV and movie news, and by God, you found it. Forget everything else out there. Forget all the Scientology bullshit. This is the real deal. This is the real deal. Worship at the feet of the holy trio of geekdom. The Jock and Nerd Podcast. Play it.
Check. Check one. All right. This is for all you fans out there. Let's give it up.
What's up, listener? Welcome, hello, and welcome to the Jock and Nerd Podcast, where we give you comic book and superhero TV and movie news, reviews, and whatever we choose. Jock and Nerd. My name is Imran.
My name's Anthony.
He is the Jock.
And he's the nerd.
Joining us is
And we'll peep you next time.
And we'll peep you next time. What?
Oh,
No.
Son of a bitch.
Stop Pavlovian triggering the end of the show. I know you don't want to be here, Anthony. Pretend like you're here.
I'm gonna sit here and smile the entire time.
Smile and nod. Also joining us, leader of the nefarious organization, the 10 Onion Rings. He's known on the streets as the Clementine, but we call him Rug Boy. What's up, Rugs?
That's actually pretty funny.
Pretty good.
I have no. I just had. Actually, that was. You must have thought of that before.
That's one of your best
Nailed it.
ones
He
you've
sat
done.
around thinking of quips.
I was going to go with 10 sandwiches, and then I landed on 10 onion rings.
10 onion rings and the Clementine.
And the Clementine's delicious. So you got a little citrus, got a little fried food. It's all there. It's all there. All right, enough of this, you bastards. Let's dive right in because we have so much MCU
Geek Boner.
to talk about.
The Jock and Nerd Podcast.
All MCU review. 2 new pieces of MCU content we're going to review. Let's start with the MCU on the small screen. The latest episode of What If, Season 1, Episode 4.
What if?
This one titled, What If Doctor Strange Lost His Heart Instead of His Hands? Here is your spoiler alert.
Strap yourselves in, you fucks. Spoiler time.
Episode 4 dives into the Doctor Strange movie and universe and cast of characters, and voice cast wise, they're all here. No recasting this time. You got, of course, Jeffrey Wright as the Watcher every episode, plays a bigger role this time. You got Bennis Slick Bandersnatch, is that his name? I don't know how you said that. As Doctor Strange, Rachel McAdams as Christine Palmer, Benedict Wong as Wong, Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One, and we meet Ike Amadi as Opin. And we've been hearing this whole time Leslie Bibb as Christine Everhart, the in-universe reporter for WHH News or whatever it's called in the universe. Anthony, what is the basic setup of this one?
These titles give it away, but
They do.
the basic setup is it Christine? What's her name?
Dr. Christine Palmer.
Christine Palmer, played by Rachel McBride.
Rachel McAdams.
Rachel McAdams, yep. In the movie, she basically goes with him to the cocktail party instead
Correct.
of not going with him.
Right.
And because of that, he gets into a car crash and she dies. Hence why he loses his heart, and he is heartbroken because of this and keeps trying to get her back. And by trying to get her back, he keeps fucking things up.
And then crazy shit happens. He doesn't lose the use of his hands. He doesn't scar his hands this time. But Christine dies. Ruggs, we missed you last week.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, a little bit. No? Did we? Did you, Anthony?
Yeah, sure.
I think so. What did you think overall of this episode? Let's just start with you there.
I thought it was enjoyable. I was like, okay, this is what a what if should be. I thought it was dark and it was kind of like bleak, and I don't know. I just thought it was really good. I felt like I got to see this kind of like sad version of Doctor Strange, kind of struggling to. I think this is after he's already beat Dormammu.
Yes, it is after the events of Dormammu.
He beat
after
Dormammu
the events of the movie. Dormammu, remember that?
He told everybody his thoughts on God. Anyway, so he beat Dormammu, and so he's trying this whole technique a second time. He's like, "What if I can undo this?" And it just doesn't change. He can't change this moment in time.
Yeah,
and it's frustrating the shit. And it makes him go into dark places to try and do this. And he becomes consumed with it. He becomes very kind of powerful and dark and just willing to do like the most craziest shit. And and I like that. I was like, oh, that's what a what if should be. I want to see how far can we push Doctor Strange? Like how powerful could he be? How much can he not give a fuck? And it's good because you can do that and then snap back to regular reality and not have to worry about what you just did.
I mean, he almost becomes a more interesting character than the vanilla Doctor Strange.
I thought it was written well, too.
Yeah. Okay, look, I want to break it down because a lot of crazy shit happens. Anthony, though, what did you think overall now, episode 4, What If?
I wouldn't say it was my favorite. I still like the Black Panther Star-Lord. But that being said, similar to Rug Boy, I mean, I thought they went into a really interesting direction. And I know you want to break down everything that happened.
Just the big beats.
Yeah, of course, the beats. I just want to say it ended in a way that I was like, oh, like this isn't like all of these have kind of ended in a way that's been somewhat like the winner, the hero wins.
Yeah, this one does not have a happy ending.
No, this was not a happy ending.
That was amazing.
And it was very the whole thing was just dark. I liked the beats with the Ancient One splitting them, and it was. There's a couple of things I'm not questioning, but just was like, oh, like that would be something that is inevitable. They kept bringing up, but I mean, another good what if. Ever since the first episode where they were kind of doing beat for beat stuff, it's been good. Where it's been completely different and pushing the boundaries of what would happen. What if? I guess.
Yeah. No.
Pun intended.
I mean, I agree with a lot what you said. What Rugg said. At first, these last 2 episodes, when I first watch them, they're like, I'm just like, okay. And this one especially was kind of confusing on first watch, but then the fucking trippy imagery stuck with me and I watched it again. And then the more I think about it, the more I really fucking love this episode. Like you said, Ruggs, this reminds me of the comic now. And it's not redoing the Doctor Strange movie. It positions it right after. So I like that. And it's haunting and sad. There's no happy ending and it's visually really cool. So this one stuck with me because of that, because of how haunting it was.
It felt like an Aronofsky version of fucking Doctor
Oh my
Strange.
God, imagine Requiem for a Dream smashed up with Doctor Strange. This is what you would get. Okay, holy shit. All right, let's break down like the big beats what happens, because some crazy shit happens. We talked about Christine decides to go in the car ride with him. And the car wreck still happens, and I love how they faithfully recreated the car wreck from the movie in the animation. Looks great. So the movie, the events really, she dies. The events really kick off after the end of the Doctor Strange movie, and Wong is like, join me for a cup of tea before you do something reckless. And of course, Strange does.
It kicks off. It starts before the Doctor, like the same point of the Doctor Strange movie, but he still does all the stuff that happens in Doctor Strange. It's just he's still thinking about Christie.
It's a different motivation.
His motivation is Christine, and even though he saves the world and gets rid of Dormammu, he's still trying to discover the magic to get Christine back.
So you got to imagine he would be a stronger Doctor Strange because he has full use of his hands. You know, at least he wasn't handicapped like he is in the movie.
That's a good point.
So he might have gone faster. So after Wong's like, don't do something reckless, Strange is like, all right, let me try this. I got the fucking I have Agamotto. I got the time stone. I'm going to take this back. Rewind, goes back to the scene of taking the drive with Christine and doesn't recklessly drive. And they fucking get rear-ended and the crash happens anyway. She dies anyway. And then this scene, the montage that follows was so tragic. It is the most depressing version of Groundhog Day you're ever going to watch, as he tries over and over again. And every time, no matter what he does, Christine dies.
He doesn't go to the party. She drives everything.
If she drives, he stands her up. Something happens. And it's not always a car crash. Sometimes the building blows up. Sometimes it's a random shooting.
She just has a heart attack in the middle of the dance floor.
They're dancing, and then she just has a heart attack. So it's crazy. So we find out as he's doing this, the Ancient One shows up, and she'd be alive at this point, and she's trying to stop him, and she tells him Christine's death is an absolute point in time.
Oh, shit.
Wow, it's the first time hearing of this in the MCU. This is something that cannot be changed. It's because of her death he becomes the Sorcerer Supreme. And I also think it's kind of like Thanos' snap. They couldn't undo the snap.
Right.
They couldn't undo him snapping. They had to undo the snap.
I call bullshit on that absolute point in time.
Let's talk about this. This is crazy. And the amount of power it takes to undo it can't be done.
Well, for one thing, like, even though I enjoyed this episode a lot, obviously, I don't watch anything without having like a couple of thoughts as I'm watching it because I just can't help myself. That's what I do, right?
How your cotton brain works.
Yeah.
You can't just enjoy it.
No, I do. And then I think about it and I go, well, what would I would have done better? And that's a fucking whole rabbit hole. It's so easy to like armchair quarterback fucking shit after you've seen it. Right?
Quarterback away. That's why we're here.
But I'm like,
that's
all right.
why we have a podcast.
Yeah. After, trying like at least a dozen times to undo time and go, okay, this shit's going to happen no matter what I do. I would have deviated from that plan and been like, all right, let me just resurrect this person.
Yeah, what else could you do? Resurrection.
Yeah, I've been like, okay, that's not going to work. So let me just try some other shit. But that was kind of like a weird thing that never came up even at all.
Maybe he's read Under the Red Hood. The DC
There's no
storyline.
Lazarus pit in the MCU.
And he knows that the Lazarus pit gets you fucking crazy.
Well, we know that people come back. So people come back from the dead all the time.
All the time.
So, there's going to be a whole episode of zombies.
I didn't mind the motivation because look, this is the love of his life. He's gonna try.
Well, then there was the other thing. I'm like, he's Doctor Strange. You could go get some other strange.
You can get some strange
women.
Some actual strange.
Yeah. You should get some actual strange.
Shit.
So I was thinking, okay, well, that's a weird thing. Whatever. But for the purpose of this story, it has to go this way. So fine.
I think this is going to be important in the MCU, though, moving forward. This
but absolute point in time. Yeah. That's like a major thing here. It's like there's things that you can't, like, why is her death something an absolute point in time? That's just a weird thing to put as an absolute point in time.
Universe.
In that universe, because it makes him Doctor Strange.
In his own life, he can't. So is it a personal timeline?
No, it's a what do they call it? A nexus? Not a nexus. It's an absolute point in time because he needs to be Doctor Strange in that universe because the Doctor Strange has significant ramifications for all of the universe, and he needs to be the Doctor Strange.
So there is no world where he's not Doctor Strange.
We don't know that
timeline.
That universe.
Yeah.
For that universe, he needs to be Doctor Strange.
And so that also brings up the question of he keeps rewinding time and he's not branching off into realities. He's staying in one.
I did some research on that.
How's that work?
Well, because he is using the time stone in that reality and rewinding time, it doesn't create a branch reality because you're using the time stone to basically rewind the reality.
Within the one timeline.
Right. But there isn't a nexus event.
No.
There's no, like, just by rewinding time, you're not necessarily creating branch realities because there's no variance doing anything different. You're just literally pressing rewind. Or you're not removing stones from the reality either.
Right, you're not pulling them out.
Again, is rewinding time.
And like we saw the Ancient One show.
So that's how they get around there's no branch realities being created.
The multiverse is a whole level above because we know the TVA uses the shit as fucking paperweights.
So it's kind of like a checkpoint almost.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like you're playing a video game and you've gotten to a checkpoint. You can't, like, you're fucked.
Die, you get back to that checkpoint.
Yeah, no matter what you do, you can't fucking.
You're never gonna.
You can jump off the highest bridge in the world.
You're always gonna end up back.
You're gonna end up back.
That always pissed me off in a video game if I got to a checkpoint and I forgot to do something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I should have gotten the helmet. Oh fuck!
I can't go back. Yeah, and he can't go back. That was annoying, especially if you couldn't go back. So, anyways, Ancient One shows up and they're fighting because he's not listening, and she blasts him with some magic, and later we find out that this is where she split them. But in this sequential story, it flashes to white and it cuts to Doctor Strange looking for the library of Cagliostro and the magic books. And Cagliostro turns out was a real dude. He was like a charlatan who told people he was a mystic artist, but it's also a character in Marvel Comics. And he meets this dude named Oben, who's like, Cagliostro may be here, maybe there, maybe
Ben
everywhere.
and Jerry.
Oben and Jerry. It's a lovely flavor. Oben in the comics is Cagliostro. It's another name for him. So that might have been him, and he was just fucking with Strange. So Strange eventually, this is another fantastic sequence. He learns about absorbing beings to gain enough power to actually reverse an absolute point in time, something that's not encouraged, something that's very dangerous. So he's like, all right, let me try this. And he starts, here's a great Easter egg with the Shuma-Gorath fucking squid creature that we saw in the first episode of What If. But that fucking thing beats him up.
Too strong.
Too strong. So then he's like, let me try something smaller. And he starts with a little like vampire gnome and sucks him up. And then you see him proceed to spend centuries absorbing bigger and bigger fucking creatures. And the animation in this bit was amazing. You see him take the shape of these creatures briefly as he's sucking them in. And finally, at the end, he does get some of the tentacles of the Shuma-Gorath.
You know what? I just thought of this now. Not to.
What'd you think of this sequence?
All of these. This storyline that's happening, where he's trying to reclaim Christine, and he's sucking the souls of other beings. Basically, the same movie that we saw in same thing we saw in Shang-Chi.
A little bit. This is a great compliment to Shang-Chi. Like watching these together, there was a lot of
no spoiler, but
parallel,
very parallel
things.
Yeah.
And then some weird things happen as the Watcher actually addresses the camera in the middle, and you see him, and Strange senses him for a second. I was like, oh, shit. Oh, what's going on there? And then O'Bane.
Because the Watcher can see that he's basically on his path to destroying the universe.
Yes, he is going to this crazy path, and he's like, I could stop him, but he's not going to listen. But I can't interfere, and he's not going to listen anyways. It's pretty much what he says in the middle. And then O'Bane is dying because it's been centuries, and he tells him, oh, by the way, there's another Strange.
What?
And he's like, what? What the fuck happened? And we find out.
Wait, no, that's a podcast that Matt Delhauer does with us.
Oh, what the fuck happened? Yes, no, that's not this.
That's not this show.
That's we'll do one of those.
Hello, Matthew Delhauer.
Hi, Matt. Hi, Delhauer.
Delhauer.
Delhauer's the best. So it cuts to the other Doctor Strange, and the same moment, Wong is like, join me for a cup of tea before you do something reckless. And this time he doesn't. He drops the Eye of Agamotto. He's like, you know what? Let's let it lie. He steps outside the door, and all of reality is melting into ink.
Oh, shit.
And I love this. I love the way it looked. I love the contrast of this versus the dusting, and how, like, it's the medium. It's like ink of the animation lifting off, and everything's disintegrating. And that's when the Ancient One shows up again. This time she's dead. She's like, look, I split you two. You are causing the end of the universe, and you are the only one that's going to be able to stop him. So now Good Strange has to stop Evil Strange. I love this. I thought this was crazy twist. What did you think when this happened? Did you guys see this coming?
Did I see it coming?
Yeah.
No, but it's very Marvel.
It is Marvel.
I did not see it coming. Well, actually, I had an inkling something was coming because I remember seeing the trailers of Doctor Strange facing Doctor Strange.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So I was like, where is this Doctor Strange that's not wearing eyeliner and a purple cape? When is he going to show up?
Yeah. And you see where he gets the cape,
this is when
too.
he shows up.
Yeah. I love how he gets the cape from that bug. He's like, I'll take the cape. I don't do insects. Sends it fucking back. So you get an awesome Good Strange versus Evil Strange fight. I thought the fight was fucking amazing. The cloaks fight. You had a cloak fight.
Yeah.
That was
cool.
great. And
I more enjoyed the conversation they were having.
Yeah, what were they saying?
I mean, it was just back and forth, like you're breaking reality. Like, don't you see what you're doing? Like, this is wrong. And he's just like, he's so far along the bad Doctor Strange. He's so far down the path. He just can't see. He can't see the way. I mean, he wouldn't even recognize himself in the mirror.
When he says these lines, he sounds a lot like Gollum when he's talking about Christine, where he's like, they don't understand. We loved her. We loved her. And he sounds like he's talking about the ring, and he needs the Good Strange to finally get enough power.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's just like, you need to, it's like an allegory for like when someone passes and you can't move on.
Yeah.
And he just is so stuck.
We can't say goodbye.
This person, he can't say goodbye to her.
He'll risk destroying the universe to bring it back.
And,
It's like what you do inside your head, right? When something happens, like think about all the different things you could have done to change things, and then
he got to do it.
This is the allegory, or this is the kind of execution of that idea. And then, his better self kind of has to come and swoop to the rescue. And sometimes people have a tough time with that. Just like Anthony said, it's great. It's kind of like a great allegory.
And then, fucking good. Strange gets absorbed by evil Strange. This also shocked me, but I kind of love that they made him lose, because this evil Strange, he is super fucking powerful. He's been spending centuries absorbing every crazy demon. And as he does finally pull Christine out of the car and remove the car parts and revive her, he is in this crazy, scary, horrific form of all the things he's absorbed, scaring her silly, of course. And then he reverts back to Strange. The universe literally imploding, his universe imploding around him. And he's just pleading. And again, great performance by Benedict Cumberbatch, where he's like, I didn't mean for this to happen. So, and then he talks to the fucking Watcher.
Oh, shit.
He's like, you could stop this. You are a god. I know you can help me. And the Watcher's like, you know what? I could, but I can't. Sorry. You're going to have to learn your lesson.
Well, it's interesting. I don't know if the Watcher could stop it.
No, I don't even think
but
he can.
Knew that the end of the universe was over. So at that point, the Watchers are supposed to watch, but because the universe is over, he could talk to Strange and just
that
be
was
like,
crazy.
Not that I told you, but like, see,
you were warned. No, he says you were warned several times that he was.
Well, but now he feels comfortable talking because he's watching the end of the universe.
It's done, and and the episode ends with all blackness collapsing and Christine melting away, and evil Strange is just in this little pocket gem shard, and he destroyed his fucking universe.
Very
oh my god,
very dark, cryptic ending.
Wow.
What if?
Yep.
Wow. We will see this Strange again, though. I believe
the darkest ending in a Marvel thing since Infinity War.
Yeah. It reminded me a lot of the end of Infinity War, where you're just like, because you were left in silence for a while. You're like, oh fuck, what just happened? He lost.
Yeah. They lost. You don't see. It was nice to see because you don't often see the heroes lose, especially in Marvel.
Yeah.
You don't see them really ever lose.
And I love the creation of this evil Strange because I want to see more of him. And I believe, there's shots of him in the trailers talking to Captain Carter. We talked about how he's going to be in the Guardians of the Multiverse. What I want to know, does this come to live action? Will this tie into Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness? Is this the Doctor Strange we see in Far From Home trailer? That was a crazy theory I said.
Oh, shit.
I don't think so.
I don't know if they'll go that way, but I was talking with my friends after on Friday night about this in between beers. And we were like, this would have been a crazy movie.
Oh, my God. It would have been an amazing movie. The brilliant thing is when you're talking about storylines where you're bending reality, you have horror and magic. Doctor Strange, there's not a better character you can use than Doctor Strange, and they used him well.
The character they need to do that with.
Yep.
They did it in this show, but they need to go that way in the movies with him.
It got me excited for the sequel because let's not forget Sam Raimi, a master of the horror genre, directing Multiverse of Madness. So I'm expecting some magic and some horror and a lot of kind of like this, but yeah. All right. Any final thoughts on this episode, Ruggs?
No, I liked it. I enjoyed it. I was pleasantly surprised that they went this dark and had this kind of sad ending that, where nobody wins. And it shows kind of like it lets it play out, like that it doesn't work. And that you can't bring someone back to life, I guess, that's gone, or if you can't undo a absolute point.
You gotta let it go. Where does this rank in your favorite out of the 4 so far for you?
I think this is my favorite one.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
This one might actually move into my favorite one too, because it just caught me off guard and it was dark and it was like the comic.
Well, you know what I like about it is it was something that was so personal to Doctor Strange in his story.
Yeah.
And they explored that. It was kind of like, okay, we're going to really explore this in we're going to show you how resourceful he is. We're going to show you how desperate he is. We're going to show you how tragic this is.
Yeah.
And it never never descended into silliness.
No, there was barely any, like, not any comedy, really.
I thought the writing was pretty good. Like, I was like, the writing, all of this kind of makes sense for this particular story. You know, contrivances aside, or like Marvelisms aside, you know, like, of course they're going to do Marvelisms and shit like that. But, for the most part, it was pretty solid.
Yeah. I love Evil Strange. Anthony, where does this land now for you out of the 4?
You know, the more we talk about it, the more I might rank it up to number 1. I think I had more fun with Black Panther though, so I still have it ahead. But as you mentioned with Doctor Strange, and this is the type of stuff they need to get weird with, it is, because Doctor Strange as a character is, you know, is all this magic. And with magic, there's really no, like, limits.
There's no limits.
Well, what I'm saying, though, is, like, you can just, like, do anything you want, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of makes everything meaningless if you can do anything you want. But if you put the rules around, like, you put rules around governing playing God, and, like, all the moral and
complications and
ramifications and the allegories to real life and loss and change, then you make it like a much more of a philosophical, heady, dark thing.
Relatable,
and that's what they did with this. You make it now insanely relatable, where it's like, if I had the power to bring someone back, how far would I go?
The love of your
that?
life. Yes, absolutely.
Right? Like, there's now consequences to the magic. It's not like, hey, I could pull anything out of a hat and it doesn't matter. Like, so now, like, it makes things, it gives consequence. It makes things now something that where there's meaning, and there's, like, now you're, like, thinking about what you would do in that situation. So it made everything a lot more important than just a magic show. It
was weird when I watched it. It struck a chord, but I didn't really dwell on it. I was just kind of like, oh, that was cool. Like, and I didn't think about it. But now, as we're talking about it, you know, you're like, you are, I wasn't really hip to that before, but now I'm like, oh, wait, that's why it struck a chord. I'm like, that's why I was vibing with it. So yeah, it's interesting.
I'm with you, Ruggs. I let it, watched it. I was like, whoa, that was crazy. But I didn't think about it until we started talking about it.
Now, next episode, of course, the day this show posts, the next episode will be out. The listener will know what it is. We're 2 days out from that. I'm a little confused because on all the articles, episode 5, it seems to be what if Thor was banished to Earth, but still worthy of his mantle, otherwise known as Party Thor. But the other day, Marvel posted a promo and some images saying episode 5, Marvel Zombies.
What?
And I was like, oh, okay. I don't know. So it's either Zombies or Party Thor. I don't know which one it is. Doesn't really matter. It'll be fun nonetheless. All right, good stuff. And then, of course, listener, we have podcast swag. I got to mention before we take a quick break, visit our TeePublic shop, jockandnerd.com/shop. Get a lovely tote bag, hoodie, tank top, t-shirt, face mask, travel mug, coffee mug, all with our logo, old logo, new logo. There's some sayings. You got Rug Boy. You can get Rug Boy on your mug. Check it out. And we're going to take a break here, play some promos, and come back and geek out over Shang-Chi right after this.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
What's up, Jock and Nerd Nation? This is Logan at Mostly Superheroes, a podcast that was partly inspired by the Jock and Nerd podcast. We talk about a lot of the same stuff, MCU, DC heavy, with other content that comes out of HBO Max, Amazon Prime, Netflix, and more. We're committing to doing something new every day in 2021, so come join the fun, check out the schedule. Find us at mostlysuperheroes.com and enjoy the rest of the show.
I'm Imran.
And I'm Sophia.
I'm the brother.
And I'm the sister. And we are watching a show about cousins.
We're your hosts for Dance of Joy, a Perfect Strangers rewatch podcast.
We grew up watching the 80s hit sitcom, and now we'd like you to join us every week as we rediscover our love for our favorite TV cousins, Balky and Larry.
You can find our show at danceofjoypod.com and on all major podcast platforms. Now we are so happy, Sophia. We do the Dance of Joy.
Imran, this is a podcast. They can't see us.
Oh,
and Nerd.
Listener, if you've been enjoying the podcast, why not give back? Why not give back for all the entertainment and cringeworthy moments we've given you over the last 6 years? Join our fan club. Visit jockandnerd.com/Patreon.
Jockandnerd!
Where you can sign up, and for as little as $3 a month, you get access to a bonus RSS feed where the shows come out early. There's bonus content. For example, there was a story about Anthony in an elevator. Ruggs, did you get a chance to listen to that? It's on our feed.
I did.
What'd you think of that story? It's pretty good, right?
Yeah, it sounds like it sucked. It sounds like it really sucked really bad for Anthony for a few days.
That was a great
My knee
story.
still hurts from
Oh
that
my
day. I
God.
don't know what I
15
did.
flights, man.
Up and twice.
Yes,
Up and down.
that was a workout.
Jesus Christ. And then the woman, she was getting yelled at by everyone on her first day.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
This-
my God.
The woman from Bosnia. and
Oh,
Herzegovina.
it's such a good story. Sign up. You'll get that instant access to that bit of audio. And you would have heard all three of our instant reactions. I brought back something. There's a lot of normal things that happened going into watching this movie. We'll talk about it. But I brought back something I haven't done in like over a year and a half. The return of the parking lot instant reaction, where I'm in the car and I give you my instant reaction right there, right after watching the movie. Geek boner. I missed those. People missed those. So you heard that from all of us. Fun stuff. Again, other fun things. $5 or more, you get Discord benefits. We're doing a monthly hangout every month. This month, Thursday, September 30th, 8 p.m. Keep an eye on the Patreon feed. $10 or more a month, you can force us to watch and review any movie you want. That's also a lot of fun. So just go there, check it out, pick a tier. jockandnerd.com/Patreon. Do it now. Jock and Nerd.
Do it.
Do it now.
Do it. Grab my hand. Okay, Arnold is not in this movie that we're going to
Arnold
review.
commands you, and when Arnold commands you, do it.
Arnold would have been a great addition to Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, but he's not in it. We're going to review it. Here is your spoiler alert.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
Prepare to be spoiled!
Give me all of your clothes. This is the movie based on the Marvel Comics character Shang-Chi. First appearance, special Marvel edition number 15 in December of 1973, created by Steve Englehart and Jim Starlin, and really created because Bruce Lee had started a whole martial arts craze in the 70s. And,
That's right.
They're like, okay.
Well, they wanted to do Kung Fu.
Right.
And they couldn't license Kung Fu.
That's right. They couldn't get the license.
So they went and they did something with what's the guy? Fu Manchu?
Oh yeah, they used Fu Manchu in the book.
They were able to license Fu Manchu, which is not Kung Fu, but the word Fu is in it, so I guess stupid white people thought it was the same thing.
It's close enough.
Give me that Fu stuff.
And then they're like, just draw the guy like Bruce Lee, we'll be fine. No problem.
So they did that, and they made like a Bruce Lee type shit.
Yes, and the character is still around, and it's a little more, it's just less racist now, basically. Let's put it that way. It's a little more progressive and of today than back then. This is the 25th MCU movie, the 29th MCU project overall now, adding the Disney Plus shows. On Rotten Tomatoes, this thing went up a point from the last I checked, 92%.
Oh, shit.
7.6 out of 10 average rating. Now, here's where the numbers get really fun. The box office. The budget of this movie, $150 million. Last week, we predicted what, Anthony? What did we predict opening weekend?
I did 45 million.
You said
weekend.
50 million.
I said 50 million opening.
I said 48.5. Oh, we were
wrong.
Way off in the best way possible. Listen to these fucking numbers. 3-day domestic opening weekend total, 75.5 million.
Oh, shit.
4-day Labor Day weekend domestic total, $90 million. In the same time, 3-day overseas, it makes $56.2 million. It has not come out in China. There is not a release date for China. And also, Australia theaters, 70% closed. Sorry, Wes Cranford and all our listeners in Australia. They are not able to watch the movie. So, total global so far, this movie has made $146 million. Now, it broke a couple of records. This is the second best 3-day of the pandemic, just behind Black Widow, ahead of F9.
Oh, shit.
That was crazy. And this is a fucking Labor Day opening weekend record, but a huge record. Smashes the old record. We talked about how Labor Day, traditionally always slow. Nobody goes to the movies. They're going out, always sluggish. The record for biggest Labor Day opening was held by Halloween in 2007, $30 million. Shang-Chi smashes that $90 million Labor Day opening weekend. Thoughts on this? Wow.
I'm pleasantly surprised. I definitely didn't think this was going to do well. But this is good. I mean, and
this is great.
This is really good, actually. This is good for movies. I think movie theaters are ecstatic about it. Marvel's obviously ecstatic about it. If you're on the, this is the representation type. This is also very good. And I think this movie is going to have legs because it's getting a lot of really good reviews, and it's not on Disney Plus, so you have to see it in theaters. So I think this will out earn in the at least as far as theatrically, Black Widow.
Now I'm going to kind of tell you a little secret.
Okay.
All right. When Godzilla vs. Kong came out, I bought extra tickets that I never was intending on using.
Oh, good for you!
I wanted to support the movie, and I wanted to make sure the Monsterverse continued. And I told all my friends to do the same thing.
Okay.
And I don't know if this happened with the movie Shang-Chi, but I bought tickets to my theater, and it looked like it was completely booked, packed. Now, there's no COVID seating. All the seats are open.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And
Same
I had
here.
people sitting on both sides of me.
Same here.
But the theater was only like 65% full.
I will counter that. With my theater experience, I was surprised. I was sitting right next to one dude in an empty seat. But this looked like a almost 80% full theater, just like before, just like nothing had happened. I was like,
it was very, very weird.
Mine was almost full, and it was a good crowd. Anthony, how was your theater experience?
Mine was different. I saw it Thursday.
I saw
night.
it Thursday too. I think we all saw it Thursday. Ruggs.
Yeah.
Thursday night, we went to the wrong theater.
Oh shit.
And we were still able to get tickets to an 8:00 showing at another theater a mile away. And it was like, there might have been 10, 15 people there.
Really?
So it was like completely dead.
Wow.
But then I went again today.
Oh, you saw it twice.
To a shitty theater that I usually go to, was just like to catch a movie. And this one, it wasn't packed, but there was maybe, I'd say like 40% full, which was like on a Monday.
Yeah.
During Labor Day. I thought that was kind of impressive. So
yeah,
I didn't have a packed crowd, but I also didn't go. It was interesting. I would say it was an interesting experience.
No, everybody. I mean, a lot of
sounds like people are coming out though.
Yeah,
obviously.
And for this, diehard Marvel fans want to see this right away. I love it. Was like it felt so good because when the movie started, everybody was cheering when the Marvel music started, and they applauded at the end. And I was like, wow, I missed this. I really needed that to see a movie.
What was interesting for mine on the Monday. The Thursday one was just kind of negligible. The people that were there though were super into Marvel.
Okay,
on the one on Thursday. Yeah. This one, I didn't feel like they were super into Marvel.
Yeah,
but it was, I guess, not so unexpectedly. A lot of little Asian kids.
Yeah, nice.
A lot of like Chinese and like Asian families that were at the showing on Monday that I was at.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting in my theater. It wasn't really like that. It was just
I had the most annoying kids.
Oh no!
Next
Yes,
to me.
you mentioned that in your Insta reaction.
My god, I wanted to fucking punch them so bad.
But
I was like, I didn't want to be this. I didn't want to be that guy.
Clint Eastwood, get off my lawn. But
they were really fucking annoying, and like there was a couple of times, like, let me use my body language to let them know that I'm about to punch them. So I would like. When they started annoying me, I started to like rub my head and like lean forward and kind of like try to like not see them in my peripheral vision and just kind of be like, and they would quiet down a little bit. I'm like, don't you know not to fucking talk to the whole entire movie?
You should have just said that to them. That would have been great.
Yeah.
They need to know.
How old were they and where were they at in relation to you?
They were like right next to me.
Oh no.
And they were like little kids. They were like maybe 12.
Oh yeah,
or 13.
Oh God, yeah, that's a fun annoying
and like
age.
like they would, they don't kids that age they can't handle getting yelled at. They will just fucking flip out and they'll urinate themselves and.
That's funny you say that. There were kids that age. I would assume 12, maybe 11 to 13 at the theater showing I was there today, Monday, and they were acting up a little bit and they were like. Coughing and like laughing and like trying to out cough each other, but then like someone must have called the like theater people because they came up there and like talked to them and then they like completely shut up.
Nice. The flashlight pops out. What are you doing?
But they were like maybe 8 to 10 rows behind me and like I was on the right and they were in the middle, so it wasn't really all that distracting for me. But I was feeling bad for the people that were in front of them.
Oh, they were right next to me and I was just like, oh my god. this is going to suck. Like, I'm not going to be able to enjoy this film. So it took my enjoyment of the film just a little bit because I was distracted constantly.
You know what? That's
awful.
That's the price of freedom, Rux.
So I actually watched this twice.
Oh, you did?
Oh, good. Yeah, I was going to say, good thing you did.
I wanted to see it again. I didn't get a chance to.
But
I really
watched it. I watched it illegally.
Oh,
and it was poor quality. But I had to just because like there were so many things that I was distracted, and I was like, I need to before I review it to give this movie my full attention. So I did that.
So you made up. So look, amazing fucking numbers, and all this means is that Marvel will probably not rush to put Eternals out on streaming day and date or Spider-Man. I'll tell you who noticed. Sony noticed this box office because they just announced they had pushed Venom 2 from late September to October 15th. They have just pushed it back up 1 week to October 1st.
Oh, shit.
After seeing people come back to the theater in a huge way for this movie. So we'll see what happens, but it looks like the movies are back. Hey, it's back.
Fuck Delta.
Fuck Delta and Delta.
I think it says something along. I think we can't make huge grand proclamations about this, but I think similar to like the Kong versus Godzilla, where it was the first big thing, and F9. If there's a movie that feels like an event and isn't just streaming, isn't on streaming as well, I think this proves it can get people out.
Yeah,
I think people still do. Obviously, I mean if. You don't go to, but I go to clubs and bars, and it seems like there is no COVID. So I think people still want to do things, where it makes them feel like COVID is gone. And I think seeing a movie like this was one of those things.
It's a great movie to do it too because it's a lot of fun. Wow, that's crazy numbers. I couldn't be more happy for this movie. This movie directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, who is known for really not a lot of movies. The last movie he did was titled Just Mercy, had a lot of MCU characters in it, like Michael B. Jordan. Who else is in this movie? There's a couple other. Jamie Foxx is in this movie, and even the third, I can't see who it says. So not a lot of movies. Brie Larson is also in that movie, Just Mercy. Oh. So he sort of directed a Marvel movie before this without any action. Written by Dave Callahan, Destin Daniel Cretton, and Andrew Lanham, all writing on the screenplay. Starring, I'll just give you the main guys, and here's some fun with names. Simu Liu, of course, as Shang-Chi, who you may know from Kim's Convenience, a Canadian kind of sitcom-y show. You have Tony Leung as Wenwu, his dad, Awkwafina as Katie, his best friend, Menghe Zhang as his sister Xialing, and then, of course, the amazing Michelle Yeoh as the aunt. And who else do we want to talk about? Florian Munteanu playing Razor Fist. Hua Yun playing Master Guan Bo. And a bunch of other Asian names. Who else do we need to mention? Yeah, that's the main cast.
Sir Ben Kingsley.
Oh, and Sir Ben Kingsley in a fantastic cameo as Trevor Slattery.
I think it was more than a cameo. But
it was more than a cameo. It might have been a little bit too much, actually. Anyways, Anthony, give us break down the plot of Shang-Chi. What happens in this MCU origin movie?
Well, it is an MCU origin movie. It is about the character named Shang-Chi who was born into a crime family, let's say.
Sure, an organization.
With a father that was in an organization, or created an organization that was ruling for tens of thousands of years, and also born with a mom that has mystical powers. And he is basically an adult in this movie and trying to figure out his journey, his path, what his destiny is supposed to be, where his dad wants him to basically rejoin the family. And his dad has these mystical 10 rings that have helped him wield all this power for centuries. And it's basically a hero's journey into figuring out who the hell you are, and that's what Shang-Chi's doing.
Accepting your destiny, sort of.
Sure, yeah.
So, Anthony, we're both Asian, but I'll let you go first.
Yeah.
What the overall thoughts? What did you think coming out of this?
I've seen it twice, as mentioned.
Yeah.
The first time I watched it, about midway through, I'm like, this is good. This is really good. After the movie ended, I was like, this is still pretty good. I think this movie has some unrealized potential. I think it could have been great, but I think it was very good. The second time I watched it, kind of reinforced that belief. Although I think I liked it a little bit more. I appreciated some of the things a little bit more towards the end.
Okay.
I think they nailed a lot of the Asian stuff.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the themes about destiny and like the role of a boy in an Asian family as opposed to a girl, and the expectations an Asian father has on you, and some of the traumas that an Asian father inflicts upon his child and why that might be the case.
Or mother. Sometimes it's a mother.
Sometimes it's a mother. Overall, I thought it was really good. Although you could say it's, it is your typical origin story, and it is, and I think some of that origin stuff really hinders the movie because they still have to kind of explain what's going on and all that.
Got to get through it.
You got to get through it a lot. I think it had a little bit too much exposition and flashbacks.
Sure.
And a little bit too much, and we'll get into it later, a little too much Marvelisms in it.
Little too much tying into the bigger thing, you mean?
Not necessarily tying, but more like some of the comedy beats and all that, and characters that pop up. So I think, but overall, I think this movie was really trying to swing for the fences in terms of the themes I mentioned, the way the story is kind of structured, the way it kind of gets really crazy towards the end. So I'll always give a movie credit for swinging for the fences. I think it comes up a little bit short in terms of greatness, but I think if they could have cut out some things and maybe paced it a little better, I think this would have been a really great movie.
Okay.
I think overall, though, still very solid, much better than, in my opinion, than Black Widow, and like really what Iron Fist should have been in terms of action.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
I'll let you guys.
Thank God it
take the
didn't look
rest.
like Iron Fist action. Ruggs, how about you? What'd you feel?
Oh,
after...
you're going last? I wanted to hear from the other Asian person.
Oh, okay. The other Asian person really enjoyed the fucking movie. I found it entertaining. I was smiling the whole time. Like I said, I wanted to watch it again right away. Visually, just a dessert for the eyes. And I love the details about Asian immigrant life. And I actually thought that the humor was balanced. The biggest surprise to me was Awkwafina did not annoy me. I thought they were going to overuse her, and I think they used her just enough. Is there the issue of maybe he is overshadowed by his father a little bit, but solid villain, a great villain that we haven't got a good villain like this in a long time. And really, Tony Leung steals it. His relationship to Shang-Chi is the whole movie, and it's the reason the whole movie works. And even though it has a big third act fucking CGI battle, I love it. It was like a fucking kaiju fucking ending. It was amazing. You had martial arts, you had kaiju shit. Really had a good time. But I could see some of the issues that you mentioned, of course. But I fucking
loved it.
Ruggs.
Well, obviously, there is two ways to look at this movie. Is it's this brand new thing that you don't really compare to the comics.
Yep.
That lives in a vacuum of a brand new created character for the screen. And, you follow this movie like basically detached from what it is. And in that sense, really enjoyed it. In that sense, I was entertained. I thought the fight sequences, though sometimes sped up, and reminiscent of a lot of Jackie Chan stuff that I've already seen. Like every time I saw a scene, I'm like, oh, that looks like a scene from Old Boy. Oh, that sounds like...
I love that. It worked.
But, so it's probably an homage, and it was cool. So like, but I was like, oh, but I was entertained. I wasn't like shitting on it. I was like, all right, I could see where they're going for here. Cause like every martial artist has its kind of persona, right? Bruce Lee is like the badass macho guy. Yep. Jackie Chan is kind of like this, oh shucks, but like
goofy,
always using, he doesn't really seem like he ever wants to fight, but he's always kicking everyone's ass with the environment.
He uses the environment. Yes,
you got Jet Li, who's like this Terminator. He's silent and deadly. Mm-hmm. And then you got like the guy from Ong Bak, Tony Jaa, who's just explosive.
Yeah.
Right. He's just explosive, brutal. Brutal. And he's kind of leaning more towards Jackie Chan than any other thing. And, kind of like not the most fierce. Maybe he'll get there at some point, but this is in the beginning because, he hasn't done karate or kung fu or whatever the fuck he's doing.
He's a little rusty.
Yes. He's a little rusty maybe, but, the fight scenes were great and they were entertaining. The movie was kind of like this engrossing, sweeping thing. with father issues and family issues and things about like wanting to change your life or just want to accept what you have and not go into your dark past and things like that. So there was like some mysticism there. There's a lot of fun things. So I did enjoy it a lot.
Yeah.
Nice. So I had fun with it. I thought it was fun, and I think people should go see it. When I really start to like analyze it, then I start seeing these Marvelisms that Anthony's talking about.
Yeah.
For example, like the real badass of this movie is Shang-Chi's sister.
Oh, his sister is amazing.
Like she taught karate all by herself. She learned kung fu all by herself. I keep saying karate, but like I know it's not the same thing. But it's by default. But like she taught herself martial arts. She's better. She kicks his ass.
Yeah.
And maybe because he's rusty, whatever. That's fine. She's been running a fight ring this whole time.
She runs a fight club. She's fucking badass.
Yeah, and she ends up running the 10 rings at the end of this thing.
That's awesome.
And so she's really the badass. Like quite a few times, she needed to save the day.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of this where like they can't just prop Shang-Chi up. They have to prop up other characters that, whatever. It can't be just his movie. He can't, like, it's not like a Batman movie where it's all Batman doing everything. Maybe he's got like some guy helping him in the cave, or whatever. Even Robin is just like, this is Batman's movie. Like Batman never like outshines, Robin never outshines Batman.
Well, I mean, but there was they got a lot of things to set up. There's a lot of characters, so they did suffer a little bit of him getting kind of swept under the rug at times for other things.
He said, so it's kind of like Black Panther. Happened in Black Panther too.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's a Marvelism. It's something that's what we've seen before, and it's whatever. It didn't really like destroy the movie for me, but I just noticed it. That's all.
I mean, let me touch on that too, since we're on that. Yeah. I noticed that too. I think that's why when I came out of the movie, I said to my friend Rex, I go, this character will be a lot better in
his next appearance. Yes.
In other movies, because they've all this setup that they had to do and all the setting up of the universe that he's in and the side characters and all that stuff. They'll be able to, he'll be able to flourish a lot more. It reminded me, I think this is a better movie, but it reminded me a lot of how Doctor Strange in his movie was kind of vanilla. And then once he's gotten into other movies, he's like really been able to spread his wings because his character is now fully realized. That being said, some of the other Marvelisms I noticed are like just some of the some of the jokes and some of the stuff. Like for instance, the bus scene I think would have been much more impactful if you just didn't have the guy on his like live vlogging.
Clev, like it's your boy Clev.
I thought it was like kind of funny at first, but then I watched it again and I'm like, you don't need that. And like it would have been a much more impressive scene if you like are just showcasing his martial arts throughout the entire bus scene and not cutting to the guy.
That's the Marvelism. That's totally Marvelism.
They take the piss out of it of that moment.
Right. Yeah,
I did laugh though. That was one of the things.
I laughed too. That's hilarious.
I laughed too. I just think that was one of those situations, and I heard this in another review, but I agree in that I think the director Daniel Destin Creighton was really like he had something going there. If Marvel wasn't a part of it, I think the director might have just let that scene speak for itself.
Yeah,
because that scene is actually really good.
It's amazing.
This is the debut of like Shang-Chi as a character. This is the debut of this is a new leaf in the relationship between him and Katie. Katie discovers things about him. The world is discovering things about Shang-Chi, like this guy in hiding. And then you keep cutting to the guy going, "Oh, like I can rate fights or whatever.
I'm gonna rate this fight," and then he's like,
"It's just a little," and like those little breaks like that. Like later on, we get the cameo from Trevor Slattery, and it's like funny. I laughed. I laughed when he showed up. I laughed at the fucking apes thing he was talking about.
Oh, that was just great. I forgot about that.
You keep cutting to him, and it's like, okay, you're taking the piss out of this. You're like, you keep doing the like. We always like have such big moments, and then you cut back, and it's another like joke where it's like you didn't see that. For instance, Winter Soldier, the fight where they fight on the highway, and then you like it's Bucky versus Steve.
There's no guy live streaming that one.
No, well, if you watch that scene, they never cut to someone doing commentary making a joke.
Right.
Like that scene plays out for like 15 minutes, and it's just straight up action. And it's one of the best action sequences of all Marvel.
The tension is there.
Yes, exactly.
Let it build.
So.
Well, and then you got Awkwafina doing the speed thing like Sandra Bullock, and there's some jokes there.
I think that was an homage.
Yeah. Well,
I think that was an homage, but they were also, actually, to Rug's point, I think they brought in, I'm almost 100% sure, I'm like 95% sure they used Jackie Chan choreographers.
I believe so.
He's the guy that did Jackie Chan stuff was doing the fight choreography.
And he did
for
a
this.
lot of his own stunts too. Simu Liu has experience, doing stunt work, so he's able to do a lot of it. First of all,
He did a great
the
job.
jacket thing is straight up Jackie
the jacket
Chan.
thing is great and using the environment. Yeah.
Even that scene where they're in the bamboo.
Right, that's very Jackie
That's
Chan.
out of Rush Hour 2.
Yeah,
Like,
the bendy bamboo.
Yeah, so there was a lot of and then when they have the shot of the bus fight where he's inside the bus and he grabbed the pipe or something and he was fighting everybody, that was Old Boy. That was like the Old Boy hallway
It was
scene.
like, they went sideways and did like a hallway scene. Let's talk about the bus scene.
Well, let me talk about that real quick, or just one quick point, because Ruggs pointed out how his fight style is very Jackie Chan-esque.
Yeah.
And I thought about it as he was talking, and I went to myself, it makes sense for the character because you learn that the character, killed his mom's
assassin. Or did he?
Assassin.
He did. He did?
Yes,
he actually did. Okay.
Jesus Christ, come on.
No, I didn't think he did it.
It's a big
I
plot
think he
point.
went and he didn't do it.
No,
He
then he
said he
says
did it.
he says he really did do it.
He did do it. And ever since, and then he runs away from home, right? So he's always been reluctant to embrace that violent side of him ever since that moment. So this is the first time you're seeing him embrace that violence, but he doesn't really want to be violent.
No, he doesn't.
So that's why for me it makes sense that he'd be more of like a aw shucks Jackie, like I don't really you really want to do this? I don't want to fight like
but
this.
I will,
please,
if I have to.
I will if you make me, but I don't want to.
Well, that's at the end. It gives us some impact because at the end of the movie, he tells us that this is what you want.
Yeah,
you want me to be a killer? You want me to just freaking beat the shit out of people? All right, let's do this. So, I mean, it does give it impact later on, but I still feel like, and this is, I know this is probably better for the movie to do it this way, but I still feel like since he's based somewhat on Bruce Lee, that there would be a little bit more
edge
of that. Maybe not like Bruce Lee, but just more in that tone. But maybe that'll come later. That could come later.
He's gonna grow into this character, and at that moment where he realized he's like, I'm gonna have to kill my father. I was like, oh fuck yeah, you have to kill your father.
Maybe we're not there yet. Maybe he'll be more.
I think his performance. Also, he was really good. Maybe a little stiff, but first solid outing. But I feel like he's going to grow into this role, and I can't wait to see him interact with other MCU characters. It's going to be phenomenal.
I just don't like one of the Marvelisms. We saw it in Black Widow, where people fight each other for no reason. Like, he didn't have to fight his sister and lose.
Well, she threw him in the ring and signed him up without him knowing it.
Like in Black Widow, she fights her sister for no
in Black
reason.
Widow, that made no sense. Yeah,
and they did the same thing in this movie. Like, they didn't have to fight. Like, that was just thrown in there. That was just thrown in there to show like that the sister's a badass. And so like that's a Marvelism.
Wait, back to the bus scene, because some of the hand-to-hand combat, the fucking bus scene, I love this bus scene.
It is good.
So that dude Clev, that's Zach Cherry, he was actually in Spider-Man Homecoming. He's the guy who goes, hey, Spider-Man, do a jump while he's on the roof. So that wasn't...
Do a backflip.
Yeah. Do a backflip, yeah.
That was great. But the bus scene...
But that makes no sense. What is he doing in New York and then ends up in San Francisco?
That's a good point. He's the new Stan Lee.
He gets around.
He just shows up everywhere. He's got a big... It's your boy Clev. It reminded me of the bus scene in Nobody. And of course, that one was like a lot more brutal. But I thought the camera work, the choreography, you could follow everything. The detail of when Razor Fist grabs the pendant. Did you guys notice this? Like I didn't notice. They make it obvious in the moment when he's cutting the bus in half, where he does that move. You see him turn towards Razor Fist, and you could see the pendant, and then Razor Fist cuts the bus in half as he kicks him and jumps back, and you see his neck. There's no pendant. Like it slows down a little bit, and I was like, that's where he grabbed it. It's just fucking little details like that in this movie. They did a great job with.
They did a really good job. I noticed it not even in the bus scene, but right from the beginning when Wu is taking over, like way back in the day, fighting everybody. Yeah. You notice like they don't do a lot of like shaky cam quick cuts. They do a lot of like long takes where you can actually follow the fight choreography.
They let it play out.
I think this is obviously, and I don't know if they had the highest of bars, but this is the best fight choreography they've ever done in the MCU. I
was just going to ask, this is like the best hand-to-hand fight choreography I've seen in any of these movies. Easily. It
has to be, yeah.
Had impact. And
it's definitely up there, and it's on par with a lot of the best. So it's like nowhere. I mean, I'd say Civil War and Winter Soldier have very good fights choreography, and it started like the Marvel style.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like a whole different direction. and it's its own right. It's in its own right. It's really good.
Those movies utilized a lot of the shaky cam and like quick cuts, which made it like a little bit more brutal. And I felt like, but this one, as mentioned, had the longer takes. And I think obviously you're going to do a Shang-Chi movie, the master of martial arts. It better fucking have some good martial arts scenes, and they did a good job.
They did a great job with it.
I love the different styles too. The Michelle Yeoh's kind of like the Tai Chi style of fighting, and I love when she showed him.
That's when they start utilizing a lot of the wire work.
Yeah, the Crouching Tiger. There was a lot of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, beautiful, and I love the whole idea of the father has like tech alien magic versus elemental dragon magic. And the different colors of the rings. The scaffolding scene I thought was great. Let's talk about the Fight Club scene.
I love the scaffolding
How about
scene.
the Fight Club scene before that? We learn Wong and Abomination are they're running like a little grift.
So you know what I thought of that?
Yeah.
That little thing? I was like, this is a stupid Marvelism.
That's a Marvel. It's absolutely marvelous.
Because it was pointless.
Yes.
And it takes away from the fact that when Wong shows up at the end.
Yeah,
you've already seen Wong.
Hanging out.
Now you see him again at the end. And now it's like not surprising that Wong would show up.
I think that's the Easter egg for like Thunderbolts or something like that.
It has to be that they're going to tie it into Val getting Blonsky into the team.
You notice when he takes Abomination back, he takes him back to the raft.
Yes, in the portal. Yes, he's
the portal.
Yeah,
So
I noticed that
the second time.
They're
around.
holding him still, but
the scene really actually reminded me of like Hawkeye's scene in Thor, where it's just like, oh, that's Hawkeye. Oh, okay, that's it. There's no more Hawkeye.
It kind of reminded me of like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man when he jumps into the cage with Bone Crusher for a little bit, but that actually meant something. This again, it didn't. Yeah, it was kind of a throwaway.
Also, Abomination's wearing diapers.
Is he wearing diapers?
He's wearing like underwear.
Well, you don't want to soil yourself in front of everyone while you're punching yourself in the head. But I felt like those two had set up this fight so that bets.
It was
both won.
A con.
It was a con. And then so that's the two big fight. Okay, then the scaffolding fight scene. Let's talk about that.
The scaffolding fight scene I thought was amazing.
And that's actually how the scaffolding made out of bamboo is how they have it in China, I believe. In Japan they use that. But this is in
this movie's in China.
It is in China.
Yes.
This is Macau, right? And so it looked a lot like Madripoor, but more fun Jackie Chan shit. And I love how Xiaoling like disappeared, but then she comes in for the save and helps them out and fight. And you get Death Dealer. Also think another bit of a little bit wasted character. He was cool. Very
they totally I didn't like that they wasted that character.
I wanted to see
that character looks so freaking cool.
Amazing.
And you build up that character like throughout as like the trainer, and then
he's killed. He gets killed.
You know what? I don't like that they killed both characters. I don't like that they killed the Mandarin either.
I was actually sad. I was shocked that they killed Wenwu the way they did. I was like, oh no, I felt like they almost reconciled and they could have been something. And he sacrifices.
I just think that there's a big problem with Marvel where they kill off the villains and you can't use them again.
Mandarin's gone again now. The fuck is this?
They just gone and then you got to move on to the next one. Like, I feel like, okay, you don't have to kill the guy. Maybe lock him up and then like Abomination. Now you got him back into game now. All of a sudden, okay, cool. Like, I don't know. It was just, I hate when they waste people. Like they waste, like they had this cool character, this Death Dealer that's from the comics. And then they just, unceremoniously kill the character. And I'm like, there could have been a nice fight there with somebody that would be cool to watch, but we don't get to see that.
Well, let's talk about the final third act battle that is kind of multiple battles where you have Shang-Chi fighting his dad, trying to stop him from opening this gate made up of dragon scales. I love the world building and Ta Lo and just the fact that this island is its own dimension. This is
I didn't understand that because they said that they're from an advanced thing, but they're using like all of this old shit.
They came through a water portal. Remember, the car came through a water portal. They're in their own separate dimension outside of the MCU dimension.
Yeah, but aren't they an alien race or something that's far beyond humanity?
Well, we don't know. The rings came from there. Ta Lo.
No, the rings didn't come.
They didn't come from Ta Lo. They came from space.
We don't know.
We don't
know.
Well,
in the comics, right? Fing Fang Foom.
Yeah, they're McLuhans. Right.
Yeah, it's an alien race of giant, dragon-like things, and those are the things that those are from that planet, the rings. But obviously, they're not bracelets
they're
like
bracelets
they have them in
now.
this movie. They were rings, and they operated completely differently. So, that whole thing is completely gone. They kind of put a different beast in there, a soul eater or something like that.
Soul suckers and the dweller of darkness.
The people from Ta Lo, she keeps saying your universe,
she said that a lot.
your reality. So it leads you to believe that these people aren't from our reality or our multiverse. So yeah, I didn't expect. So that third act, I definitely didn't expect it to get that mystical and crazy, and it to be a big giant monster fight.
That was crazy.
I liked that. I the kaiju fan in me was like cool. I was there for it. I was just like, okay, like I liked seeing the lions and all the foxes and the phoenixes flying around. Like those are all stuff that are.
And Chicken Pig Morris.
Yeah, I don't know about the chicken pig. Is that a thing?
We'll get into that. These are all. This is amazing. These are all animals from Chinese mythology. They're all actual animals of Chinese mythology. The protector dragon looked fucking dope.
Cool.
You know, I'll say I didn't not like it, but it's not what I wanted. And here's why. The movie wasn't really building to a monster fight like that.
It wasn't. Yeah.
It was really based around the martial arts and the father-son family dynamic. So personally, I just wanted to see more martial arts. So for it to end in a big like monster fight was kind of, for me, not what I wanted to see. I wanted to see, you get to see them fight a little bit, but I really wanted to see Tony Leung, Simu Liu just go at it.
So they changed
super
they
hard.
swap out the villain at the end. Like it becomes not the dad, it becomes the dweller of the darkness.
Because you have a Marvelism again happening where you have two characters that are like very much alike fighting each other. And I think that they did this to add a little variety and make it like a little different.
Sure. Yeah.
So we're going to end with a kaiju fight. And Suicide Squad just did that.
Yeah.
Too. So, but you know, it does relate. See, the thing is, it's weird because like this does relate to like China and all that other stuff, but then you have this other dimension thing that you don't need. In a way, I think they could have been just like a temple where they could fucking activate these monsters.
It's like Kunlun from Iron Fist that also operates within its own little pocket dimension.
Yeah, or maybe even like a doorway, like that lets things into our world where we don't have to go to that world necessarily.
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
like I just think having this whole like the bamboo driving into the maze, like I was like, what are we doing?
I thought that was great. But if you have a portal or a doorway, like we've seen that already with the Chitauri, and portal opens, things come out. I thought the bamboo maze was actually really. I loved all the little things, the water maze, and then driving through the bamboo maze, and how Morris knew where to go.
I mean, that might all have. That was
cool.
Like some kind of basis, which is fine, but like, which is cool. But like,
kind of like a Wakanda thing where
I was just like, Anthony was saying that he wanted it to be a little bit more straightforward.
Yes. And
I kind of agree. And I think that where it had gotten a little out of control, they could have maybe just, bolted it down a little bit better. So it didn't seem so like outlandish at the end. But I still enjoyed the fight. I'll take a kaiju fight any day of the week.
Oh yeah. I enjoyed it too. It just wasn't what I was expecting. I did enjoy though that Tony Leung's character wasn't this crazy hungry for power type person like he was, but that's not what was motivating his villainous towards it was love,
story.
right? Like Michelle Yeoh's character says, like there's people that have tried to breach the walls before and they're always tempted by their greatest temptation. She says something like the thing they want the most, and it wasn't power for him. It was literally like similar to like Doctor Strange, right? Like he has in Doctor Strange and What If, he has the power, or at least in his own mind, to bring her back. He's never let go of her, and in fact the reason by not letting go of her, it's made him revert back to the old man he was, and to also neglect his kids, which his kids have now developed into very damaged people because of the neglect he has given them, because of the fact that he can't let go of his wife.
Yeah, I mean, that's powerful stuff.
And think about even before the setup of that, he gave up the 10 rings to go because they didn't let him in to Ta Lo. Gives up the 10 rings to live a life, start a family, and when he's away...
Well, he gives up the rings not because he wouldn't get into Ta Lo. It's because he finally found a reason to grow old with somebody.
Oh, right. For love. He gives up the ring for love, and when he goes away, when he's not there, she gets
His past
catches up, and snaps.
See,
He snaps. I
I
love
think
the
a
motivation.
better writing would have been that he's not away. He's there, and he doesn't use the 10 rings.
He couldn't do anything,
and he couldn't even. And then he wants the rings back.
But you don't have the typical superhero origin of the kid watching his parent die.
But that's actually a good line, Ruggs, because he even says in the movie, and it doesn't make as much sense. He's like, if I would have never taken off these rings, this would have happened to your mom.
Yeah.
But you're right. If they would have wrote it where he's there,
he couldn't do anything about
and
it.
he couldn't defeat them without the rings, that would have been like, oh,
yeah, you still would have seen his mom die in front of him. Shang-Chi would still see it would all play out the same. It's just that hey, I went out to get some cigarettes and some beer.
We went to get some
McDonald's. And I came back, everybody was dead. You know, it just was weird that he was gone and they showed up as just this contrivance that I was like, that's like really contrived. They could have written out just a little bit better. But yeah, so I thought that was kind of weird, but I did like his motivation. Like that.
It's relatable.
The only thing that was weird to me was like that the ring started talking to him at that point in time. Like he had the rings on for like centuries.
It wasn't the rings. It was the creatures were.
Yeah, but the creature was talking to him through the rings. So I couldn't figure that one out.
Oh.
Yeah, I could at first I was like the rings are talking to him. Then the second showing, I was like, oh, they're talking to him because they think the rings can get them out. But it's still a little unclear in terms of how he's hearing it.
Well, we don't know anything about the rings.
So let's talk about the rings.
At all.
What we in that final battle, you kind of see the uses, and it's everything from like a whiplash chain to like an energy ball to you can shoot them out and pull them back in.
I for a movie that, so I told my friends this. I'm going to reuse the line. I said, for a movie that goes Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, you don't learn shit about the Legend of the Ten Rings, and it literally is just a bumper at the end of in the mid credits that goes, "Psych, watch Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Rings Part 2, and you'll learn about the Legend of the
mid-credit
Rings."
scene is pretty much them going, "Yeah, we don't know what the fuck these rings are, and you don't either."
Mid credit was literally like,
"Yeah,
we're not
telling you."
We didn't acknowledge this at all. We didn't talk about it. There is no legend because we haven't talked about it yet. So keep watching.
Well,
oh wait, why'd throw that in the title of the movie?
Yeah,
there was a sick shot though in that battle where he steps out of the dust and he like strikes a pose when he's fighting his dad, and I was like, oh, he looks fucking badass. Like I love the
I listened to your review, Ruggs, your instant, and you're right. Like the problem with the rings is we have no idea what they are or what they can do. There's no rules around the rings.
It's one of the things that's weird is like when I know the rings, I know the Mandarin's rings, and I know what they do, and I know how he uses them, and I can imagine they could even make it cooler in the movie using those rings, and they're actually rings and not bracelets. And I know that these bracelets are based off of like obviously everything, the references to Asian culture and martial arts. They did all their homework. Everything connects to something. Yeah. So it's not like they're doing it willy nilly, but I'm like, but at what point does the comic important?
They pulled a lot from the comic though. They just changed some things, but they're pulling a lot from the comic.
But I'm just saying, at what point is like, okay, do we always change everything for whatever? Or do we try and, cause like it would have been a completely different thing and it would be easier to explain then leave it in this, like they have the explanation. It's from another planet. It's an alien technology. We know the Kree is there.
Is the problem that they're not actual rings? Do you mind that they're bracelets?
Like why? I mean, why at the end of that thing? Like does Captain Marvel be like, oh, I've never seen anything like this before in any alien planet? So like now we're like, so I don't know. It's just
let's break down that mid-credit scene real quick because there's a fucking big thing in this mid-credit scene too. At the end of the movie, Wong shows up, grabs Shang-Chi and Katie, and brings them to the Sanctum Sanctorum. And on the Marvel hologram Zoom call, Captain Marvel's there, and Bruce Banner as Mark Ruffalo, not Professor Hulk.
Oh, shit.
The last time we saw him, he was Professor Hulk. His arm is still in a sling. It's still fucked up. The only guess I can make is they need him to be Bruce Banner for the She-Hulk show for budget reasons.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. There can only be one.
He said he couldn't. It's hard to come back. He wasn't going to return, and now he's fucking Bruce Banner.
He melded the best of both worlds.
Yeah, so what happened? How did this happen?
I agree.
How is he fucking Bruce?
It's got to be that.
It's because they
You
can't
need
afford
to depower him so we can have another Hulk.
Because they have to spend money on making She-Hulk look good and not Mark.
Well, and
Ruffalo.
I think they got to figure out a way to write him out, and the best way to is kill him is if he's Bruce.
That's a good point too. And his arm,
he just can't get it up anymore.
That was shocking. He can't. His arm's fucked up.
Not only She-Hulk, but they're probably going to do Red Hulk with General Ross at some point.
That'll be another Hulk.
And they're probably going to at some point do the Amadeus Choi Hulk.
Oh, so
Amadeus
then you
Cho
have
Hulk.
the new Hulk. Yes.
Right. So you have a new Hulk there.
Ruffalo, start looking for work. Sorry. You are out. Okay, so Wong tells Shang-Chi when he used the 10 rings, everybody sensed the power. They sensed it at the Kamar Taj.
Why do they only sense it when he used it?
I don't know. I don't know why they didn't sense it when Wen Wu. Because it was gold now.
It was gold?
It wasn't purple. They only
gold.
sense because their energy is gold too. So maybe that's the connection. And then everyone goes around. Captain Marvel's like, it's not alien. I've never seen this shit. And Bruce is like, this is older than anything I've ever seen. And Wong is like, we have no records of anything like this in all the records we have of everything in the universe. And now they're emitting a beacon also. And we don't know
the beacon for
where the beacon is going. Galactus? Is it Galactus? They're
Mephisto?
It's
Kang?
Mephisto.
Oh, shit.
It's Kang.
It's Kang. So these rings are not from this dimension. And then there's a great joke where Brie Larson fucks off like she always does. Captain Marvel's like, I gotta go. He's got my number. And Bruce is like, I don't have her
She should have
number.
blow dried her hair before she did
It's all wet. She'll fly through space.
It looked very disheveled. Didn't it? Am I wrong?
It did.
Okay,
It was
I'm just saying, am
longer.
I imagining it or am I just...
Could have used the blow through.
All right,
You're just an asshole.
You're gonna
We're
get
getting slammed for this,
send
for
your
making
emails
that
to
observation, but it's true.
rugboy@gmail.com. So, and I love Banner pretty much says, welcome to the Avengers, but he goes, welcome to the circus, welcoming
Right,
Shang-Chi. And then they go do karaoke, which is also
Wong
hilarious.
is like your career, your life is just about to, he basically is like talking to him as if
as Simu Liu.
Simu Liu, your life is about to change. Go
It
get
is.
some rest.
He's going to be a household name, no doubt. Did you know 20 years ago he posed for like, you can buy stock photos with Simu Liu in it for like business photos, like random.
20 years ago?
20 years
maybe
ago?
like 10 years ago. Maybe
Jesus.
it wasn't 20. It wasn't 20.
Is he
He's young.
Imran's age?
No, 10 years ago. Maybe it was 10 years ago. But I saw them and I was like, oh shit, look, there he is in these generic stock photos.
He tweeted out maybe like right when they announced that they were going to do Shang-Chi.
He's like, I wanna be Shang-Chi, bro.
5,000 followers. He's like, hey, Marvel, let's talk about
Oh
Shang-Chi.
my God,
And
that's amazing. And he
they
fucking
discovered
gets
him
the role.
now.
And I think they picked the best guy. He's going to do great. And then post-credit scene, we discussed kind of the sister is now running the 10 rings. The flag is red. There's a lot more women assassins. She kind of
when Simu Liu, or not Simu, Shang-Chi thought she was just cleaning it up. but
she's going to
not.
shut it down. Yeah,
Right.
I thought he was going to shut it down. She kind of
not.
merged her fight club with the 10 rings, and it says the 10 rings will return.
She runs the organization, not the 10 rings, but the criminal organization in the comics that her dad was running.
She did, yeah. She takes over for a brief time.
Right.
Yes.
So it's in canon.
And then there's a tagline: "The 10 rings will return."
Yeah, the 10 rings will return, not Shang-Chi.
Well,
I
we
thought
know
that was
Shang-Chi's going to return. That's a given.
Sure, that's true.
Let's talk about. I love the music. All the fucking. I didn't know who the music was, but I love the choices.
The music was good.
The music was very good.
I enjoyed it.
I want to talk.
I have a minor. Not
Okay.
a minor criticism.
Yeah.
One of the criticisms I have. Let me just get into a couple. Actually.
Okay. Let's go.
First off, the third act, the CGI for a lot of it. Some of the cuts where they cut to them like talking
Riding?
to one another.
When they're
it's,
riding
like,
the dragon.
No, not riding. I'm talking about like they're standing there talking.
Oh.
You can tell the green screen is so bad.
Oh, I didn't know.
I'm like, what is going on here?
Wow.
Like, some of those scenes where they're in that, like in Tao Lo, I'm like, what is going on? Like, there's
It looks
a couple,
different than the rest of the movie.
Yeah, it looks like parts of that movie they filmed with the least amount of expense during COVID, because that third act again, when there's a couple cut scenes where there's just the heads talking, and it's literally like the head is superimposed on a green
That's
screen. Like, you can
interesting.
tell.
So they did have to pause for COVID. It wasn't delayed, but they did have to pause, and they lost some time probably. So
yeah, I mentioned this in my initial opening thoughts, but I thought the first half of the movie I was like really locked in. I think it really slows down in the second act, like almost to a point where like I'm like, is this movie almost 3 hours?
With the
and it's not that
flashbacks.
long.
The flashbacks
Yeah, I think there
slow
was
it
just a
down.
little too many. Like, I think the flashback where we find out she was killed by the she got murdered basically.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's important. I think that would have been a little better in the beginning. Like, I feel like we already kind of knew where that was going.
It was kind of odd where they kept going, I'm trying to get past my past, and then they just go dive into the past. It shows the past. I'm like,
and I think it would have been more effective if we found out from like way earlier that he had actually murdered someone.
Yeah.
Because then you like are on this journey, like you kind of now are on this journey where you're like, it's a story of redemption. Whereas at the end, if you reveal it at the third act, like they kind of did, it's not really a redemption type movie. It's just like, oh, now that happened. Oh, okay. Like if you like do it in the beginning, now you have the whole movie for him to redeem himself from doing that, from basically murdering someone. But like to do it at the third, there's like not. It's like now it's like he doesn't really need to redeem himself. It's kind of thrown in.
That scene where his dad takes him to that bar and then he just watches him murder all those people. Like I thought they did a good job of like setting up his trauma and then training him to be an assassin.
That was pretty badass.
That was as brutal as it's going to get in a PG-13 Marvel
I know.
movie.
I was surprised. Like right in front of him, he just blasted. I was like, oh, fuck. Jesus.
I mean, you have to imagine he just blasted a hole in that guy's face.
And he just right in front of him and Simu's watching, or Shang-Chi's watching it right there. Okay, that's a good criticism. What else?
Those are actually so then I got two things that I picked up that I was like, oh, this is like spot on Asian stuff.
I wanted to talk about the details in the Asian American stuff. They did
so the first one I noticed is when he goes into the house,
takes his shoes off.
Takes his shoes
off.
I like that
too.
Perfect, spot on Asian. Like they cut to him taking off his shoes.
Yep.
The next thing I noticed is the theme of like the kids not really wanting to grow up.
Right.
That's like a super like that's something I'm even still doing.
Pointless line. Yeah, you think?
That's like
I thought
like
Anthony
the Asian
could relate
like
to
the
this.
influence is the pressure is so strong on them kids wanting to growing up
and you
got to
do something with your life
that they don't. Right.
Yep,
so like the line where she's teaching them about the arrows, she's like, if you like something along the lines of here, I'll pull it up.
If you don't aim at anything, you're not going to hit anything.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's like very much like struck a chord with me.
But it's
like
almost the Asian version of rebellion to that kind of push. You know, you think you're rebelling, but you're like, now I haven't done anything for 20 years.
That's the thing. Like you're a super talented kid. Like you're smart. You can do a bunch of things, and you just don't do anything.
Well, there's living up to your parents' expectations. There's the legacy that's left behind that you are burdened with on your shoulder.
I found all that to be spot on. The last little small thing I found was Shang-Chi still wears Jordans while he fights.
Oh,
that's a super
cool.
Asian, not Asian thing, but that's like
I didn't know that was an Asian
not necessarily
thing.
an Asian thing, but just in general, Asians wear a lot of gym shoes and Jordans. So I found that to be something.
It makes sense. You get traction. They're comfortable. They're Jordan.
He's wearing Jordans.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
I thought this was very strange because, as I said, I'm ignorant. I don't understand, Asian stuff to the degree as a lot of other people do. When the Mandarin is talking about that he was being impersonated and someone took his name and his name was after an orange in a dish, I'm like, but isn't Mandarin the language?
It is also a language.
And it's the language they're speaking throughout the movie.
Yeah, so why is that insulting to be or to use the word Mandarin? I just thought that was very strange. I'm like, I thought that was pretty universal thing that it's like the French or the Portuguese. Like it's like is that something like that's offensive?
I found it weird that he didn't just straight off say like they named me after a language. Couldn't they come up with something more creative than calling me my language?
Yeah, I was just like, I'm like, they're really trying to make it sound like it's a pejorative thing to say. I don't know. I thought it was weird.
On the Mandarin point, so the theater I was at the first time, loved, like they were like, oh, this is great, right? But then when I watched it this past Monday with more of a casual audience, that's where I really noticed that it was kind of unnecessary because people were laughing,
with Trevor.
Most of the audience didn't know who he was.
They didn't know
They were like, who is this guy that's like in the cave and like making all these? No, but they're like, why is he important? And then they're like I could tell the crowd was like, why is he still sticking around with them?
Yes. Yeah, that went on a little too long.
What happens to him at the end? The last we see, he's playing dead, and the little fucking Morris plays dead.
They wrote out the joke a little too far with him.
So I just watched the one shot. Marvel had put it up before All Hail the King, in which he gets kidnapped by Wen Wu. He's like, you're going to meet the real Mandarin.
Right.
And they take him. But, I mean, do we expect the casual viewer to remember a character from a movie that was like 10 years ago?
You didn't really need him in there.
Not even a movie people go back to.
I thought it was hilarious that they had Trevor in there and he was kind of like their guide.
I did laugh the hardest, though, in the movie when he goes, that's when I realized if those monkeys could do it, then what could I contribute to the world?
That was so great.
He's like, I still don't know how those monkeys did that.
He thought the monkeys were acting. And he's like, oh, it's so good.
Son, they're acting like that. He's like, that's when I realized the monkeys weren't riding horses. They were acting like they were riding horses.
Yeah, I think this is an example of like what a Marvelism that works. Like that's clearly when they're just hanging out and they're stupid jokes, and that one was funny.
It's fun. Yeah.
It's fun. I just don't, I think it cuts, they could have, I don't think the director thought of that.
Yeah. It's probably a little too much Trevor.
I think that was a little like oversight where they're like, we got to make it funny here, make it funny. Whereas I think if Daniel Destin Cretton was left to his own devices, I don't think those parts are.
You probably would have cut out a lot of the humor. I thought Awkwafina had some good lines.
What about that whole Shang-Chi thing?
Oh, see, I thought that was the funniest part too, where she's like,
you thought that was funny?
I thought that was funny, where she's like, you thought you changed your name from Shang to Sean? No wonder your dad found you.
I think that was just that went on a little too long too. I was like, okay,
Sean.
How many times is he gonna? It's like he's trying to teach everyone how to say the name. Like that's watching the movie.
Yeah, I thought that was a little. I thought it was a little weird because Awkwafina grew up in a household where they speak Mandarin as well. She should
know how to pronounce the thing, I guess.
So she wouldn't need that many.
The other
hear
detail about Asian American life where the grandma's like, "Are you guys married yet?" Like that's fucking classic.
Oh yeah, you can't have male friends.
Now, what do you think of their relationship is? Are they friends? Are they lovers?
I think they're friends that may grow into something more.
I think right now it's platonic, but they'll probably end up together by the end.
I loved her line when she sees the proper Asian woman on the bus. She's like, "That's exactly the daughter my mom wished came out of her vagina." Like that's funny. That's fucking funny. So I thought the balance was good. I thought maybe Trevor was a little much. Her balance, and she almost gets like the killing blow. Remember the joke was like, "Oh, she's gonna get the fucking killing blow and save him." She does it, but she kind of distracts him with the arrow to the throat enough for him to.
The first showing, I was like, "Oh, that's way too quick." That she's gonna learn how to shoot an arrow like that.
Arrow.
But the second showing, I was like, it's more of an allegory for if she ever applied herself to anything, she'd be really good at it.
I was sad that her trainer, that old dude, got killed too. They fucking killed all these characters and kept making me sad. I was like, oh no, not him. Everybody got Wang Bo got sucked up by the
don't die
soul suckers.
Yeah.
So that shit was good.
Another Asian actually thing they mentioned is how they were like leaving the chair for the dead grandfather.
Oh yeah. That's the thing. The Day of the Dead.
Right, and they were like, it's basically like Asian families, especially like Chinese families, don't necessarily think of when people die as like to let them go. They always keep them around, and she, Awkwafina character is like, just let it go, and the mom's like, that's such an American way of thinking, and then she goes, "You're American."
Yeah, I've had that exact conversation with my mom, where it's like that's not Indian, that's American. I was like, "You're American. You've been living here for 35 years."
Yeah.
What the fuck?
That I think those types of I'm not saying a non-Asian director wouldn't have been able to figure that out and put those in there, but I think it helped that in this instance you had a Japanese American
all three
director.
of us have the immigrant experience to some degree.
Taking off the shoes, though, that is so specific that needed to be an Asian director. Be like, he would have taken his shoes off. Like,
I'm not saying it would have. Like, again, I think a white guy could have figured that out, or a black guy, or whatever. Like, they could have talked to enough Asians and like figured that out. But I think it helps that there was a Japanese guy that lived those experiences.
I love that. The representation was fucking great.
Well, I think that these movies need that nuance.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it helps if you have somebody who understands it. I mean, just like anything. Like if you want somebody who understands Batman to direct Batman, you want someone who understands Shang-Chi
Joel Schumacher. Clearly
to direct the movie accordingly. So
are we to understand Shang-Chi wasn't snapped in the blip? I think if you do the math.
Doesn't sound like he was.
He aged. Yeah.
Doesn't sound like he was.
Okay. And then a couple of fun Easter eggs. I did notice there's posters for post-blip anxiety hotline. And then next to it, there was an app. It was Blip Sync. It was a dating app for people who are blip, which makes a lot of sense. And then, they used actual creatures from Chinese mythology, which is also great. All right. Anything else before I think we should rate it, rank it? I mean, sure. I love, Wenwu, such a nuanced bad guy. Amazing bad guy. Very great.
I wish he didn't die.
I wish he didn't die, and I wish it didn't swap it out for a big creature with tentacles.
I would have liked to see Fing Fang Foom.
Maybe we'll see.
I would have liked to see that version.
We saw the Protector Dragon.
Yeah. Which I guess it was in order to be more close to Asian touchstones. They didn't want to use an alien that was kind of
right.
An evil dragon.
Yeah. Well, because in Chinese mythology, dragons are never evil.
Right.
They're always helpful and they're good. They're benevolent
Hence
creatures.
this one being the Great Protector.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
And maybe they just didn't want to. They really wanted to lean into respecting the Asian.
And to that point, this movie doesn't have a Chinese release date. That's weird, but they should love this. Maybe as the whole beginning of the movie is in fucking Chinese with subtitles for a long time.
Actually, there was one Chinese thing that I picked up, and I was like, "Is that something a Chinese person would say?" Maybe when the guy that picks them up from the elevator, that's kind of like dressed real funky and has like
when they get
oversized
to
personality. He speaks Chinese, and Aquafina's like, "Oh, my Chinese isn't that good," and he goes, "Oh, I speak ABC."
ABC.
I was like, dude, I was like, is that how Chinese people refer to English?
I speak ABC.
I didn't know.
Always bet on Asian.
I speak ABC.
So, there's something I can relate to ABC in the Indian Desi culture. The ABCD stands for an American backwards confused Desi, meaning the people from like Pakistan, India look at the Indians and Pakistanis who grew up here who don't speak the language, maybe don't know the food. They consider them backwards. American-born confused. That's what it is. It's American-born confused Desi. I don't know if that's also a thing in the Eastern Asian culture, but it made me think of that. American-born confused.
I remember growing up and like around my Filipino relatives, and they'd be like, "How come you don't speak Tagalog?"
Right.
And I'd be like, "Because I live in America."
Yeah, because we live in America. Come on.
But they'd be like, "Why? Like, you don't understand? Like, what's wrong with you? Why don't you speak our language?"
I still get that to this day from my older relatives. They're like, "Oh, you don't speak Urdu?" And I'm like, "I understand what you're saying, all right, but I think in English. Just deal with it."
See, I've always had this curiosity about, my European heritage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I always am interested to find out about it. And even though I don't really speak the language every day or whatever, but I always try and seek that out. I'm always trying to kind of connect to that era. I'll be watching YouTube videos or whatever. So I wonder if that's the same with you both.
I think the movie kind of touches on it, but Asian culture, it's so the parents have such a strong personality and influence
Tiger
that it
parents.
actually makes the kids want to get away from it.
Yep.
Hence,
oh wow,
yeah, that's hence like Imran. Hence kind of like me. Hence like Shang-Chi like is running from his like past. Like he doesn't want anything to do with it because the pressure you feel breaks you into not wanting to do it.
I mean, from my point of view, you're growing up, you're like, there's going to be an arranged marriage. You got to finish school and graduate and become a doctor or whatever the fuck. It's a lot, and you just get the fuck out, which is kind of why I left to New York. And I was like, I'm going to New York City for school.
I mean, that was the same way with me, where I was like, you got to be a doctor, you got to be like a lawyer, and I'm like, fuck that, I ain't gonna be any of that shit.
To this day, my mother still goes, you could go back to college and get like a real degree and make something like yourself. I swear to fucking God, she thinks I could be like an engineer. She doesn't even know what that means. But she'll still tell me that. She doesn't care. That's how it is. That's how they are.
I just remember growing up and being like, oh, this shit is so ass backwards. Like the superstitious shit.
Yeah.
You put fucking a clove of garlic over here.
Yeah.
You do fucking the evil eye over there.
Every ethnicity, every culture has an evil eye. Yes.
All that weird
bullshit.
shit. You fucking.
It's all superstitious.
You have to put salt over there.
Superstitious bullshit. Yes.
All that bullshit. And I'm like, it's one of those things that when I was a kid, I was like fucking I wanted to get away from it as much as possible. Like I had people in high school I had to impress, I didn't want anybody to know that I was weird. My parents were fucking, they came out of a cave,
A cave in an Italian cave.
Yeah, they had no idea. So whatever. But the point is that it's one of those things that as you get older, you're like, oh shit, there's a lot of culture. There's a lot of history.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of fascinating things that are there for you to enjoy. Embrace it. It's great.
That's why one of the reasons I fucking love this movie is they put that on the screen. We saw it and it's out there mainstream. And I'm like, man, I can fucking relate to this. And they did a great job. It's respectful and everything's great. All right. Good stuff. I think that's it. Let's rate it.
Are we going to rate it?
Let's rate it. Ruggs, why don't you start? Give me a number.
Oh my god!
And then there's 25 movies, but I don't know how you're gonna figure out where you put it.
I think I did a ranking.
You kind of did.
But, let's see. I put it in the middle. I think I put it at like it just in the top 10, maybe in the 10th slot.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe just a little bit ahead of Black Panther.
Oh shit. Okay.
Ooh.
Oh shit.
Yeah, because I feel like, as I said, that CG fight at the end of Black Panther is just so bad that like it ruins the movie, and they also kill off the fucking villain, which I hate.
They did the same thing there, but it's also a very personal, relationship between the two, similar to this.
These movies are very much alike. Like we're
very similar.
T'Challa takes a backseat in that movie too a lot.
Yep.
It's just some weird Marvel shit, but like, so they're kind of tied for the same. I would say maybe an 8 is the highest I'll go on this one. I did enjoy it. I was very entertained. I watched it twice, and I think that it's definitely going to be something I'll watch again just for the fight scenes.
So out of like the solo Marvel movies, what would you say?
Oh, I don't know. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I mean, Iron Man's still my favorite.
Yeah.
Followed by I can't even do that
All right,
one.
never mind.
Maybe like I think Captain America: The First Avenger is also good.
Yeah.
This one might be. I don't know.
I'm down with that. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Right, Anthony.
So, like I said to start, overall, I really enjoy the film. The more I talk about it, the more I do enjoy it. There are some things, as we talked about the Marvelism, some spotty CGI, the way it kind of drags that leaves me not having this as a great film. But I think the director, I think Marvel in general, I like the direction in terms of, not the Marvelisms, obviously, but like the way they were trying to really go for something here in terms of the themes. And again, like I wasn't expecting a giant monster battle at the end. I didn't think they'd get that crazy, and they did. So I respect them swinging for the fences. I'm going to go, my rating has been like flipping back and forth between 7.5 and 8.
Okay.
I'm now leaning towards an 8.
Ooh, okay.
As well. And I have it as a top 10 Marvel movie. I either have it as 9 or 10.
Ooh.
I keep flipping it with Captain America: The First Avenger.
Oh, that is another great solo movie.
I like Captain America: The First. I like the character of Captain America more still than Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
But I think Shang-Chi is going for more in terms of like bigger themes and stuff rather than just a like an homage to World War II.
Yeah.
So right now I have it ahead at 9.
Well, Captain America, you can kind of get away with a World War II action movie, and people know Captain America, even if you don't know him.
Well, you also have to remember, though, when Captain America first came out, everyone was like, this is the lamest character in the world.
Yeah.
And they made a goody two-shoes character pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So I still have Black Panther and Iron Man higher as far as solo films, but I like Shang-Chi. I think it is a top 10 Marvel film.
What was your number?
8 out of 10.
Okay. If their job was to get you excited for a brand new MCU character that's going to interact with the Avengers, that's going to do big things, and they fucking nailed that. They succeeded. I can't wait to see him again. I thought it was a very well-balanced, solid solo film. One of the better ones. It's, to me, I like it better than Captain Marvel. I like it better than Doctor Strange. It is up there with the Iron Mans and the Captain America First Avenger, and maybe tied with Black Panther for me. I'm going to give it an 8.5, and it is hovering somewhere around the top 10.
We're kind of in sync here.
Yeah.
A little bit. I have one question I forgot to ask.
Okay.
Do you like the costume?
Well, here's what I liked about the world building with Ta Lo. I like the idea of dragon scales kind of being like a vibranium, an equivalent, and his costume being made out of those dragon scales. The only thing that can fight the things. I thought it was all right. I didn't mind, and it'll change. They're going to change it every fucking movie we see him in.
Oh, of course. I was just not really impressed with the costume.
It's understated. It's subtle. It's not like crazy. I thought it was all right. The red was nice.
I mean, to me, he could be wearing anything.
Yeah.
But if you're going to actually put a uniform on, and they've been changing it in the comics like every single time too.
He doesn't really have something.
Yeah, they haven't nailed a look for him. That's true.
Yeah, I don't think you should have a costume. But I guess if you're a superhero, you should have a costume.
Does he just have so is he wearing the rings all the time, or he's got to carry them in a box, or once you put them on, you can't? We don't know. They didn't tell us. Tell us anything about the rings.
Well, I like the idea of dragon scale. The only thing is we've seen that textured look so many times that like it feels played out, but I like that they explained that it's textured because of dragon scale. I thought it was all right. I think just the third act, once it got like gray, it got super, and there's another Marvelism where you couldn't even tell that it was red. Like it was so grayed out on everything that like the characters were wearing red and black, and it's by the end of the movie, it's like everyone's just gray.
It's still kind of, it had some pops of color though throughout the movie with the neon.
But
they do color grade it. They
really
desaturate it sometimes when they
really
don't.
Bad. I mean, you'll notice it the most. Throwback on Avengers Endgame and that third battle.
It's all brown.
Every character in there is wearing a different color, and it's all gray.
It's brown. It's like a dirt brown.
Gray is brown. Yeah, it's like this should be the most colorful thing you've ever seen in the world, and they're all gray.
That's a good point.
I don't know why they keep doing that.
I mean, I like that he's wearing sneakers.
Yeah, that's
cool.
kind of cool. It's very like Miles Morales also wearing sneakers. All right, let's do some news from the nation. It's time for news from the nation. It's time for news from the nation. Aggressive.
It stinks. It stinks. It stinks.
I got some comments from our lovely group members and listeners and our friends, Jock and Nerd Nation. Join it today about this movie. Blake Braden says solid 3.5 stars. Obviously formulaic for a Marvel film. I thought Simu Liu was a bit stiff. Thought that was just the way his character acted in Kim's Convenience. Nope. I think that's just his level of acting. Still don't really understand the point of the Wong Abomination fight. I feel like if they saved Wong until the end when he's looking for Shang-Chi, it would have been a bigger deal. That's a good point. That's we said that. Agree. Jeff Chapman says, I really enjoyed the fight scenes and the music they had with them. The special effects were on point, and of course, Wong. Also loved the Kamehameha. How do you say that? Kamehameha type finish on the dragon. That's how you say it. That's the Dragon Ball Z move. He said, saw it in IMAX. There wasn't an empty seat in the house. I saw it in IMAX. It was full. And I do love the fucking Dragon Ball Z finish from the top where he shoots down. That looked sick. That was cool. What'd you think of that, Ruggs?
What, when he launched the rings into the monster's stomach?
It was like an anime ending there. A little Dragon Ball Z ending.
Yeah, it was cool.
Jimmy McPike, our resident historian, says very cringe when they had a sumo wrestler winning a fight. Otherwise, big.
Why does he have that as cringe? I'd be curious.
I don't know, because sumo wrestlers would never win a fight.
They're Japanese
against.
And is he saying because they're Japanese and they're in China?
No, but the Fight Club had all different fighters. It had all sorts of people there.
Yeah, let everybody fight and let whoever wins.
I'd be curious what he meant by that.
Then he says, otherwise, big wuxia energy. Do you know what? Does anybody know what that means?
That's when like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, where people are flying around with powers.
And Aquafina was good, and they gave her an actual character arc. Yeah, no, I thought Aquafina's going to be huge. Simo's going to be huge. Rick Martinez says, Razor Fist, Taser Face team up, make it happen, Marvel. That'd be kind of funny. Razor, and then you notice he ended up working with them. She got all of them. They turned at the end.
Right.
We need to work together.
That was good after he dies. And then Rick also asks, how does Morris eat or breathe? And Lisa Morrison says, one word, suppositories.
Oh, shit.
But I love Morris. Was so cute. Again, a little Marvel thing. You got to have a Groot or a rocket.
Where does the sound come out of?
I don't know. The little squeaky things. And how did he understand him? So that's
As Trevor Slattery says, these things are beyond human comprehension. They can understand and feel things beyond human comprehension. We're only on the precipice of understanding what they're about.
Does it bother you that Marvel has to introduce a new cute thing with every movie for like little kids to like?
Yeah, toys.
Yeah,
but look, they're going to learn about Chinese mythology. He's an actual mythological beast from Chinese mythology called a Dijiang, featured in the Chinese text classic of mountains and seas. And you saw the fox with the multiple tails and the badass lion animals. Those things were fucking dope. I love those.
Those lions are like in front of a lot of like they guarding
the temples.
Yeah, that remind me of King Caesar.
Dude, they were fucking sick, and like I think
King Caesar was based off of those lions.
I think so.
Yeah.
There's a name for those things that I can't pronounce.
That big fight was great, where it's all of Talo fighting the demon suckers, and you see them launching. And then I know, like some of the details of how Shang-Chi used the rings. He did like what Doctor Strange did. He used them as steps. Did you see that at one point? He like steps on the rings and kicks his dad in the face and flips as a little assist. So the rings are used in lots of different ways.
It sounds like he could he launched himself across a lake.
Oh yeah, he can with a little poof of air and fly.
Yeah.
Big leaps.
They can do everything.
The rings can do everything. We don't know where they're
from. It really is like the ring. He wears the rings and they do what he wants them to do.
They're MacGuffin rings, people.
Yeah, they just do whatever they want.
Shit. We don't know where they're from. They'll do what we can.
I think it's better when you have rules, but I don't know what the rules are.
I'm curious to see where they're going to tie this in the future. Finally, John Bellotti Jr., our intrepid admin and the guy who loves Hong Kong action and kung fu movies, he says very solid film with a lot more emotion than your typical MCU film. I felt like they saw what didn't work with Black Panther, corrected accordingly. Tony Leung stole every scene that he was in. I'm very happy he finally made the jump over to Hollywood and didn't sleepwalk through his role.
Finally, he was in another movie called Lust Caution like 10 years ago.
Tony Leung's acting credits on IMDb, he's been in almost 100 fucking movies.
Oh, shit.
Chinese movies, but 100 movies. He says action was great. Best fight choreography in a Marvel film by far. Fun fact, the male warrior in Ta Lo, who was training Awkwafina in the bow and arrow, is Yoon Wha. He played the villain in Jackie Chan's Super Cop, and he was Bruce Lee's stunt double, and also one of the 7 Little Fortunes, along with Jackie Chan and Sammo Hung. Oh, it's interesting.
You know what they need to do? They got to have Jackie Chan appear.
You think Jackie Chan needs to be in the MCU? Yes.
They got to have him in because I mentioned earlier, I'm pretty sure they had his fight choreographer or someone that's worked with Jackie Chan a lot as the fight choreographer.
Wouldn't it be cool for Shang-Chi to be a conduit to like bring all of these great martial artists from Asia into the fold, like whether it be Chinese or Japanese or anybody from Malaysia, like all of these guys that are making these awesome freaking movies like The Raid and Ong Bak and everything. Like just let them fucking have like a place to kind of showcase them in a Marvel film, like on the world stage. That'd be pretty cool.
I agree with you 100%. The only stage that was given to those guys was through the Fast and Furious movies.
Yeah.
I think they had Tony Jaa in one of them.
Right. They do have it in the movies, but they're always kind of like relegated to these like kind of like little parts. I think they feature them better.
I agree. I think that'd be awesome if Marvel was
they got an opportunity here
was going to do something like that
to get just dope martial arts guys.
I mean, they've been doing that, of course, but not. This is a lot.
Who would Jackie Chan play in the MCU?
I mean, it's a Marvel film.
Who could you cast him as? Maybe just a new character. Just invent a new character.
Yeah,
I don't know enough about Shang-Chi's character.
Oh, there's some character you could pull from him, I'm sure. Just make it Jackie Chan.
I would just be like, I would just have him as a character, like in the film, like the guy could have taken the mask off him in Jackie Chan. The fucking Boba Fett.
It was the death dealer.
Yeah, the death dealer. You just show up and do the mask thing. It
would be a great homage to have Jackie Chan show up. I don't know how, maybe Jet Li, but Jet Li's, like you mentioned earlier, Jet Li's style is not what they were going for here.
I mean, it's great though when you can actually see, like, you analyze someone's style. Like, I remember when Brandon Lee did Rapid Fire, like, he was like his dad, but he was different too.
Yeah.
Like, he had a different way of moving. And it's just the way people move. It's a whole in their persona and the way that they attack, the way that they they choreograph. All of those things are just so unique to those people. And it's just great to see all of that variety out there. Like Sammo Hung's great too. You watch some of his old fucking fight scenes. He's really resourceful. He can move for a big dude.
Well, that's what I appreciated about this is like he was doing a lot of the Jackie Chan stuff, but then toward, the Tao Lo fight stuff was definitely the wushu.
Oh yeah.
Like
feel.
Some
Jet Li going in there.
Yeah. So it's like they were, it's clear they did their homework and they were trying to be overt in their homages to the different styles that have been out there that are very popular.
Some of the best fucking fight choreography I've seen in any MCU movie. It's
hopefully they're able, whoever, takes the reins with Shang-Chi, or however they say in the movie, hopefully they are able to continue the level of work for at least his fight scenes.
Yeah, I just think that you have this character where you can really delve into martial arts and just kind of amplify all the different kinds and because like you think he's going to learn every fighting style. He's going to be the best martial artist in the world, right?
Yeah, his power, he doesn't have powers. His power is he's the best martial artist, and now he has these rings that have the power. But
well, not only that, but like his mother in this movie, his mother is from another dimension.
Oh, right.
That has a sophisticated form of power where you can actually interact with the elements.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But
dragon
for some
power.
reason, you can give that up.
He's got the heart of the protector dragon too. She tells him.
Yeah, you can give that up, I guess, when you leave.
I don't know how that works either.
I don't know how that worked. They didn't. That was I caught that on the second show. And I went, so how do you give it up?
Well, when her mom left, she lost her powers too.
How does he have the heart of the dragon?
He has the heart of the dragon. Did his mom fuck a dragon?
It's one of those. No. It's just one of those things that they did for the contrivance of so she can't win the fight and dies.
Right.
But like as I said, there's some iffy writing here, but like he does have that, right? He has that ability. He did learn the ways. So
that's how he defeats Tony Leung's
he does the circle with his foot.
Yeah, like his mom did. Yeah. Yeah, that's sick. All right, let's finish up real quick with what are we watching, only because I have continued my assignment from Anthony.
Yes.
So I don't know if we want to start there. Has anybody watched anything?
Oh, I've watched some things.
Or do we want to just talk about a kaiju movie?
I spoke about Redline already?
You did speak about Redline.
Did I speak about Paper Tigers?
I don't think so.
All right, Paper Tigers is on Netflix. It's a rinky-dink movie but it's actually, I enjoyed it. It reminded me of like the Karate Kid-ish type stuff or whatever. It's about 3 guys who were trained by a sensei, like in a garage of his house, like this guy. And he dies, and now they're old and they're like our age, Imran. And they have to figure out like why their sensei died, and they have to fight people.
Oh, the Paper Tigers. It's a comedy drama.
It's not a big budget movie. It's not like whatever, but it's kind of enjoyable if you want to watch like a martial arts movie where you don't have to read subtitles.
It's like a comedy martial arts action movie.
Yeah.
Oh, this looks like
I
fun.
watched that. It's not a good film, but I enjoyed it. It's something to watch while you're like taking a moment for yourself.
Written and directed by Kwok Bao Tran.
Yeah. And I also watched the Witcher anime.
Oh, there's a movie, right? Is it like a prequel?
Yeah.
What is this about?
Yeah, it's like a prequel. I don't know. It's a fun watch, but if you don't like The Witcher, then you don't need to watch.
Who's the main character? Is it Witcher?
It's he's the guy who trains the Witcher. So it's like,
okay.
The prequel is like you learn about why there's no Witchers, and Witchers are very rare. And then there's this fucking, this whole thing against wanting to kill off the Witchers.
So it's like Highlander.
Then the surviving ones, and then there's like a little group of surviving young ones, and Geralt is in that group. And so you see how.
I'll check this out. The animation looks good.
Yeah, it's fun. A lot of fucking violence and shit.
Okay. All right. Let's get to my assignment. Anthony, I watched Gamera 2, Attack of the Legion.
Yes.
From 1996 after watching Gamera Guardian of the Universe from 1995 last week.
What did you think? By the way, this is considered one of the best, if not the best, kaiju film of all time.
I mean,
following Godzilla 1954, of course.
Oh, I rather enjoyed it. I thought it was it has everything, a little bit of everything in this movie. You got Gamera flying all silly, but these movies look really good. The fucking miniature work and the explosions in this movie is a marvel when you think about it. They built this by hand and then just fucking blew it up.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the Legion, the different, it's got how Marvel movies have a swarm of things and then there's a big bad guy. They got a swarm and they got a giant Legion, and this thing fucking towered over Gamera. That was really big when they showed the wide shots. It was really big. There was several. I love the scene when the helicopters are trying to get away. Like storytelling
wise, holding them back.
Yes.
Yeah.
You see his foot, like the editing and the storytelling is great. You clearly get the sense that he's holding him back, and then a big fucking chunk of him gets blasted off his shoulder. And then the end bit where the people have to help, and this is a movie. This is something I think that American monster movies don't do. They decimated a whole fucking town. The destruction in this movie, Sendai just gone. Millions.
He isn't able to save Sendai.
I mean, they evacuated. They make a point of telling you constantly, we're all evacuating.
But the town is like, it's a nuke that goes off and he's like frozen for a bit.
He knocks it over, but it's too late and it goes off in his face and he's stuck there.
Yeah.
But then him breaking out of that with the girl from the first movie who could talk to him, and then going after the big Legion as the people help with the electrical grid. That stuff was fucking great. I don't know. I thought the explosions and the miniatures are so impressive. They're very impressive.
Really good. It's a really good film.
I find it to be high quality. Unlike the other movie I want to talk about real quick because I almost forgot, was Tammy and the T-Rex.
Oh, Tammy and the T-Rex.
All right.
Who told us about that?
Yeah, we talked about this when we reviewed Wolf Cop. It came up.
Yeah, I think that like somebody.
It was another
Joe Henry, maybe.
Might have been
maybe
Andrew Gildy.
Maybe
someone brought
one
it
of
up.
those.
Yeah, like this is the worst movie to watch.
It is.
We talked about this, yes, with the really bad T-Rex and her boyfriend is a T-Rex.
Let me just set the stage here. It's like, you ever go to like, I mean, you don't do this shit, but you go to like fucking like Disneyland or something. They have like an animatronics dinosaur.
Yes,
yeah. They just do like two moves.
Right.
They move their head up and down.
Right.
That's all they do.
Yeah.
So I guess someone got a hold of one of these things and said, let's fucking make a movie with this. So it's Denise Richards and Paul Walker.
Jeez.
Paul Walker.
Yes, Paul Walker.
Fuck.
And Denise Richards looks really, really good. But Paul Walker, he's young and handsome as ever.
1994, Denise
his
Richards.
worst acting I've ever seen that he's ever done. And basically, he dies because a bully that wants to kill him, who's maybe like a foot shorter than him for some reason. I don't know why they cast this guy that was nipple height, Paul Walker, but they did. Anyway, he kills Paul Walker by leaving him in a jungle with lions. I don't know. So they take his brain and they put it into this dinosaur because the scientist wants to create the ultimate Frankenstein or whatever. It's so terrible. And then he realizes that he's a T-Rex and he goes on a killing spree, killing everybody.
Oh man.
And somehow hooking up with Denise Richards.
Is it worth it for 1994 Denise Richards alone? Is it worth it?
I think if you watch the first 15 minutes and then just stop immediately, I think it's kind of funny. Like after like he becomes the T-Rex, then like it's just terrible. Like it's like watching like someone filming with a toy, putting it on a head and then like cutting to like blood splatter, and it's like the lamest kind. It doesn't even. It's just so bad. It's
I
terrible.
remember. Yeah, I remember we talked about it.
There's shots where they have to make the T-Rex walk.
Oh no.
And it's like literally like they blue screen someone with a toy of a T-Rex, like making the feet. And the hands are the best part. You know, like T-Rexes have like little hands. Yeah. There's literally like there's no realism. There's like a guy like to the side with a T-Rex hand, like doing things with it like that are like way too far away from the body. Like the hands like touching his face, like and making like hand motions. I'm like, dude, the hands can't move that far. Like it doesn't look real at all. Like you're not even in the ballpark. It's bad. It's bad, but I watched it.
It's fun bad. Is it entertaining bad though? It's a good laugh.
I say watch the first 15 minutes and then just shut it off after that.
Tammy and the T-Rex. Like, what is Paul Walker and Denise Richards? It's one of the earlier movies.
Ron, did you enjoy Legion more than the first one?
The Giles was really good. I felt like the Legion story is a little bit of a tighter story.
Yeah.
And it starts in English. I thought that was also interesting and bigger stakes. It definitely has more explosions, more destruction. And Gamera is really out.
Gamera gets his ass kicked.
Yeah, he gets his ass kicked a lot. He is.
But you don't like when he does a snickety snick like Wolverine with his fucking elbow fucking claws?
Oh yeah. Oh, he has the elbow claws and he's got wings that like retract too when he lands.
Yeah, he's got the wings. Did you notice at the end he uses the mana, the energy from the earth to win?
Oh, is that what the gold rings were? The gold rings surround him and then his chest opens. The giant flame ball, and that's finally takes down the Legion.
Basically, what he did there is he used it was like he pressed the button on like the one thing that he could use. You can't do that very often.
Oh, okay.
And by doing that, this is important because you're going to watch Iris, right?
I'm going to watch the next one. Yes.
This is important because by doing that, he severed his connection with humanity.
Oh, Oh no! Oh shit!
So
then he just fucks off afterwards. He just leaves.
So he's no longer. I mean, he's still the protector of Earth, but he doesn't care as much about like the people anymore.
Because he blew his load.
He blew. Yeah, he did. He basically fired the last nuke that he had in him by doing that.
Oh shit! Because at the end they're just like, yeah, Gamera's protector of Earth. They make a point to say that again.
So that's important to know going into the next movie.
Okay, I can't wait to watch the next one. I did. I enjoyed so far. I like this Gamera and all the characters.
Iris is a very dark, like almost like there's a lot of like religious stuff.
The Gaios are back.
You'll have to see.
Okay,
there is comic relief in this one, which is strange.
What's there comic relief in Legion? No, not really. Right? There's a couple of bumbling security guards where they're
Legion's
like,
a straight up like we got to destroy the alien menace type thing.
I like it. The only thing is, it takes a long time for the girl with the girl from the first movie to show up. She doesn't get there until
the fucking third act of the fucking movie, like until the very
Sana,
end.
right? Is her name?
Yeah.
And
I feel like if they would have brought her in earlier, maybe it would have been a little better. You don't see Gamera
for like half an hour either. But they got to set all this shit up. And the swarm, when the swarm covers him, and the subway scenes, those things look pretty good too, man. They had to make a lot of those fucking costumes. They're like, sometimes it was stop motion.
The craft, yeah.
The miniatures is amazing to look. And when they explodes, like you can see the quality of the make of these things.
The second Gamera, this one, he doesn't look as kiddie.
Yeah.
You'll see what he looks like in the third one. He looks
keeps evolving.
Demonic.
Yeah. Does the chunk on his shoulder ever grow back? He's got a big chunk missing now.
Yeah, it does.
You'll see. Yeah, you'll see.
Okay. No, these are fun. I'm glad you made me watch this. I'm gonna watch the third one.
Yeah, they're all on Amazon right now.
And
Kids, go check it out.
Old Gamera movies are on there too. Like they're all on there.
If you watch these and then you go back and watch the old ones, you're like, oh my god.
I'm definitely watching the original after I get to these three. I need to see where it came from.
Yeah.
Now let's rip off Godzilla. Okay.
They ripped off Godzilla, but then it became its own thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I think in the hands of the right person who like handled it seriously and tried to create something that each movie is connected very well, and they have like the characters return. I think it's nice that there is a like kind of continuity, and it's good to have this trilogy.
And in '96, since it's Japan, you see like early internet browsers with heavily featured early internet, and they all have cell phones. And I was like, man, did people have cell phones like this in 1996? But of course, over there, they were always ahead of everything.
That's true.
Right.
But you get all that tech. They're doing this in the meantime. The U.S. is doing like the Sandra Bullock movie, The Net, where it's all bullshit. Didn't even look anything like the internet. And they just made it up. And in the meantime, they got like actual internet pages in this movie.
It's the intranet.
Oh, remember the Seinfeld joke where they go, have you heard of this thing called the internet? And Seinfeld goes, yes, it's the interneting of my swimsuit. It keeps it dry. And that was it. That was the only thing they ever said about the internet.
Is there porn? There's porn.
There's more than porn here. We could buy weapons. Okay, good stuff. A lot of great fucking MCU geek conversation. Rugs, where can the listener find you online?
Twitter at ReallyRugBoy. Come follow me.
Follow him. Follow
into
us.
a bathroom.
Go into the next
and
stall.
Smell my farts.
Oh shit, they're lovely. Thanks for listening to the Jock and Nerd Podcast. Listener, share the show. Spread the geekery. My name is Imran.
My name's Anthony.
He's the Jock.
And he's the Nerd.
We'll peep you next time.
It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's really good.
Not funny.
Fucking fantastic.